Hey yo, peace family. Welcome back to Flesh of the Gods.
Is that her getting out?
That is correct, yes.
Nobody else gets out of the car?
Correct.
All right. And the direction she's walking would be to get to the staircase to go up to the restaurant?
Correct.
And this would be right after she left her car?
That is correct.
Are you able to tell or provide a description of her clothing?
Yes, Ms. Robinson's wearing what appears to be blue jeans. They appear to be having some kind of cuts in them. And then she has a black puffer jacket and then some type of white shirt.
All right. Sort of like a cable knit sweater?
Yes, that's correct.
What kind of coat?
I would classify that as like a black puffer jacket.
Shoes?
White in color.
And she's carrying a large purse, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So she arrives at work at around 9:16 in the morning?
Correct.
And lastly, I'm going to go back to camera 6. This is camera 6 at 16:57:37 on April 1st, 2024. So this would be what?
Again, camera of the parking area of Pizza Shuttle. And that you can see currently, you can see Ms. Robinson's Honda Civic.
What time is this at?
16:57.
So just before 5 p.m.?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Playing this clip, it's 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes. I'm going to fast forward here. Appears she's sitting in her car, fair?
Correct.
All right.
That everyone in this courtroom be protected through the white light by this devil that sits beside. My daughter referred to you as a man. You will never be a fucking man. You're a pussy-ass bitch.
Ms. Scarborough, if you could direct your comments to me, please.
This demon and his whole-ass attorney, they knew exactly what he did and what he was responsible for. They took us through extreme agony and pain. We are already dealing with so much trauma. We rolled deep. My ancestors rolled deep. When you touch my daughter, you fuck with the wrong family. We ain't no pussy bitches, and you should have never touched my daughter. You and your family will be held fully responsible for the rest of your life. You will be eternally haunted by myself, my ancestors. I know you cannot sleep at night. They have already been at you. You will never get peace. You will never sleep. You will be eternally haunted by myself, my ancestors. I know you cannot sleep at night. They have already been at you. You will never get peace. You will never sleep. Knowing what type of demon son they raised and then tried to cover it up. Y'all tried to flip that house. Y'all done did so much whole shit. It don't make no damn sense. All y'all karma is going to be a bitch. And I'm getting each and every one of you eternally. I'm getting the whole entire family tree. Know that. Your sister, all them, each member of your family tree will be eternally haunted by my ancestors. We're light workers. I don't even have to touch you. We're light workers. I don't even have to touch you. The spiritual realm already been at you. I can see it in your eyes. You can't even sleep at night, you hoe ass. But know that you messed with the wrong one. You weren't getting away with this one. You will be dealt with eternally, like I stated. But your Honor, Judge, I'm asking that this demon be respectfully returned back to hell as soon as possible. That's what I'm requesting through the court. Please return him back to hell as soon as possible. No possibility of life without parole, the maximum. maximum, and this devil should not be given any more special millionaire privileges being held in certain populations. He needs to be, not he, but that devil needs to be placed in the population with the rest of the demons that harm and hurt individuals, the murderers, the serial killers, the felons. You are not on no special privileges. Your money is not gonna protect you. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. Sade's justice is just now beginning, and you and all of your family will eternally pay for what you did to us.
Well, family, back again to continue the Maxwell Anderson and Sade Robinson. For the murder of Sade Robinson. Yeah, he killed her daughter. What up, everybody in the building? Legacy 9 Ether, I see you. Trakisha, what up? I see y'all. Appreciate y'all joining, family. Watch the rise. I see you. So, yeah, he killed her daughter, Trakisha. I'm sorry about that. He killed her daughter, Sade Robinson. So we about to get into the opening statements. That's some of the previous parts that we've played. Her mom, the way she felt, we played that on the last show of this. But yeah, we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna get into the opening statements. I haven't watched the opening statements yet, so we're gonna get into that. Appreciate y'all being here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend. Let's get it going.
Well, isn't this a nice surprise?
Also, if you don't know, he was already convicted, found guilty and all that, sentenced to life. So this is just the opening statements. And I'm going to do closing statements later. And I'm going to have a little stuff mixed in between, a little bonus for y'all. You know how I do. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the judge just read you the preliminary instructions. That is the law that is to guide you as you listen to the evidence in this case. And what I'm going to ask you to do now and ask you to do at the end of trial is two things. And they're two things that the judge just mentioned during those instructions. Use your common sense and search for the truth. That is your job. Over the course of the rest of this week and into next week, you are going to hear testimony from the witness stand. You are going to see exhibits. You are going to see a lot of exhibits and hear a lot of testimony. And all of it at the end is going to boil down to your ability to use your common sense and search for the truth. Your duty is to come to a fair and rational conclusion as to what the evidence shows, and that's how you do that. You apply the law given to you by the judge to the facts that you decide occurred, and decide if Maxwell Anderson is guilty of the charges brought before this court. Maxwell Anderson is charged with 4 crimes that have just been defined to you, related to the disappearance and murder of 19-year-old Sade Robinson that occurred on the night of April 1st, 2024 into April 2nd, 2024. Sade Robinson was a 19-year-old young woman. She had an apartment on the Lower East Side, 1858 North Commerce. She was in school, she worked a job, she worked at Pizza Shuttle on the Lower East Side. She was everything that you would expect a 19-year-old girl to be. That day, April 1st, 2024, Sade Robinson went to work at Pizza Shuttle, like any other day. And she made plans to meet up with the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, that evening after work. And she wouldn't know it at the time that she left her apartment that morning, but she would never return. Sade and Maxwell Anderson met up for dinner and drinks at the Twisted Fisherman restaurant in Milwaukee. They then went to Duke's bar on Water Street, and then they went back to Maxwell Anderson's house on the south side of Milwaukee around 9:20 in the evening on April 1st. After leaving Duke's and going to the defendant's house, Sade would never be seen alive again. That night, she was murdered by Maxwell Anderson. Her body was dismembered by Maxwell Anderson in a vicious and gruesome manner. And then Maxwell Anderson attempted to make her disappear from this world by discarding her body into body parts into Lake Michigan, and then taking her car and burning it behind an abandoned building near 30th and Lisbon. The evidence in this case is going to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Maxwell Anderson intentionally killed Sade Robinson and then sought to have her disappear from this world. He cut up her body, tried to get rid of her body parts, and tried to cover it up in any way that he could. For doing this, he has been charged with 4 crimes: first-degree intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, arson of property for burning the car, and hiding a corpse. The evidence in this case, the testimony you're going to hear, is going to be voluminous. The judge just told you you're going to be allowed to take notes throughout the course of this trial. I would strongly encourage that you do that. The reason for that is so that when you're back there deliberating at the end of this trial, you're able to look back and understand the significance of things that you heard and remember it, because there will be a lot. So I would encourage you to do so. But at the end of this trial, the evidence will establish that Maxwell Anderson is the one who killed and dismembered Sade Robinson, and it'll prove him guilty of those 4 crimes. This is my opportunity to summarize the evidence so that you have sort of a roadmap as the trial progresses, and so you understand the context of what you're hearing about when you hear about it. You are first going to hear about April 2nd, 2024. Around 5:20 in the evening, the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office and the Cudahy Police Department were dispatched to the shores of Lake Michigan near Warnemont Park. It was a particularly rainy day. The weather was pretty nasty that day. And 2 young men were walking the shores of Warnemont Park, and they found a human leg. And they called 911. That leg that they found would later be confirmed through DNA testing to be the leg of Sade Robinson. The leg was found down a large bluff at the park on the coastline of Lake Michigan. It's a very secluded location. You are going to see ample amount of photographs of that location. And investigators searched that area, north and south of there, significantly, thoroughly, but found no other human remains at the park. Now, this park and this location is near the Cudahy Water Department. Investigators also discovered that on April 1st into April 2nd, a vehicle had been used to ram the Service Gate Road near the Cudahy Water Department pump house. This is right next to, about 100 yards away from where the leg was found on the coastline. The Cudahy Water Department personnel reported this actually the morning of April 2nd, prior to the leg being found. Notably, where this gate was smashed, this gate takes you essentially down a service road that goes right down to the shoreline where this Cudahy Water Department pump house was located. And recovered right where this gate was smashed were pieces of a dark blue Honda Civic, 2020 Honda Civic. Sade Robinson had a dark blue 2020 Honda Civic. The pieces of that Honda Civic were recovered from that location. They were ultimately determined by an analyst from the state crime lab that they were not just from any Honda Civic, they were broken off of Sade Robinson's Honda Civic. Video was recovered from the Cudahy Water Department and the surrounding area. And the video showed that near the location of this gate, a dark blue vehicle, Sade Robinson's Honda Civic, entering the park and entering that service road where that gate is at 2:53 a.m. on April 2nd. The vehicle remains down that service road, and there's only one way in and one way out, down that service road for about an hour and a half, and departs that very same service road at 4:32 a.m. on April 2nd. Additionally, on April 2nd, just hours after that car departs the park, at 7:30 a.m., Sade Robinson's Honda Civic was intentionally set on fire behind an abandoned building near 30th and Lisbon. Later that day, April 2nd, 2024, Sade Robinson was reported missing to the Milwaukee Police Department. Friends and family, friends who knew she hadn't shown up for her work shift on April 2nd at Pizza Shuttle, hadn't heard from her, reported her missing. Police followed up. They checked her apartment at 1858 North Commerce Street. She wasn't there. No real signs of what happened. Police would then follow up on the missing persons report, speak to several family members and friends, and discover that she had gone on a date the evening of April 1st, after her work shift. They also learned what her phone number was, and they learned from her family and friends that she had an app called Life 360. Life 360 and the phone number, with that information, police obtained phone records from Verizon Wireless, the wireless company that serviced Sade's phone. And those phone records from Verizon Wireless and the records from Life 360 provided very crucial information about Sade Robinson's activities on the evening of April 1st and her whereabouts. Notably, the police discovered a text message conversation between Sade and a phone number that the police would later learn belonged to Maxwell Anderson. The text conversation showed that Sade and Maxwell Anderson were planning to meet at the Twisted Fisherman that evening to get food, and indeed did meet around 5:15 p.m. on April 1st. Additionally, the records from Verizon Wireless, as I indicated, provided location information for her phone that not only confirmed her trip to Twisted Fisherman, but would provide further location information all the way up until about 4:40 a.m. on April 2nd.
No. No. No, he's sleeping.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Shout out to our stream sponsor so far, Stacy Sibbett from the last one. And shout out to No One, back in the club, back in the subscription status. I see you, appreciate you, family. Chant my black is golden as always. Can I pet that dog?
Police would follow up at Twisted Fisherman, and then through her phone records, also learning that she had gone to Duke's on Water Street. And they got video from those two locations that confirmed that Sade Robinson and Maxwell Anderson met up that evening, first having dinner and drinks at the Twisted Fisherman, and then they went to Duke's on Water Street to hang out and have more drinks. Through all of that information, the phone data, the videos, investigators confirmed they were at Twisted Fisherman from 5:15 p.m. until 6:24 p.m. And then they went to Duke's on Water Street from 6:30 p.m. to about 9:04 p.m. Videos also confirmed that that evening, Sade Robinson was driving her 2020 Honda Civic, the same vehicle that was used to smash the gate at the Cudahy Water Department pump house. Now, this would be time for me to mention it's a common vehicle, Honda Civic. Everyone's heard of one. But it does have distinct features. Honda Civics have sort of distinct features that are going to be worth noting when we go through the evidence in this case. Hers was dark blue. It had a sunroof, and particularly 2020 Honda Civics have these unique sort of C-shaped lights in the rear, and you're gonna see those, all features that are noticeable on video, which will become important. At 9:04 p.m., Sade Robinson and Maxwell Anderson left Duke's together, and they left Duke's and got into Sade Robinson's Honda Civic. Sade was driving, Maxwell Anderson was riding passenger, just the two of them. The phone location information from both Sade's phone and Maxwell Anderson's phones, as well as other surveillance videos that you'll see from downtown and the area near Maxwell Anderson's residence on the south side of Milwaukee, confirmed that they drove from Duke's on Water to Anderson's residence. They arrived at his residence around 9:24 p.m., and you will see video of Sade's car arriving at his residence, driving right by the front of his house and then into the alley. At the exact time, her phone location information is showing her phone arriving at his residence. Sade's phone remains at Maxwell Anderson's home up until about 12:45 a.m. on April 2nd. There's a video from across the street from Maxwell Anderson's home that shows silhouettes and movement in Maxwell Anderson's residence for the intervening about 3 hours. The time she gets there, the time her phone shows that they got there, up until about 12:45 a.m. Consistent with Maxwell Anderson and Sade being there. That video from across the street, beginning about 11:24 p.m., all the way up until about 12:45 a.m. on the 2nd, shows some movement beginning in the side yard near where the back door is, where he would come out and go in. That stops around 12:45 a.m. And any human movement that you can see in the upper window stops at 12:45 a.m. Also occurring right after 12:45 a.m., Sade Robinson's phone location information begins to show her phone moving away from Maxwell Anderson's residence, where it's been stationary since her car arrived there around 9:24 p.m. Now, this is a very crucial time in the timeline. And this is where the phone location information that investigators got from Verizon Wireless and Life 360 becomes extremely important. What occurs beginning just after 12:45 a.m. is that the victim's phone moves away from Maxwell Anderson's residence and begins to travel to various locations throughout Milwaukee County for the next few hours. And investigators were able to follow essentially a trail of videos where the victim's phone was showing her phone was at various times. From 12:45 a.m. all the way up until the approximate time her phone goes off the wireless network at 4:40 a.m. This is the time where that unique look of that Honda Civic is going to come into play for you all. You will see investigators followed where Sade's phone appeared to travel to and recovered videos around the county confirming that her car was traveling in those exact areas at those exact same times. So when the phone starts moving away from her residence just after 12:45 a.m., the records show her car driving northbound near 35th Street. Videos pick her car up driving in that exact direction. The phone then ends up downtown around 1 a.m. A camera downtown that actually is a license plate reader camera captures her plate downtown just after 1 a.m. The phone then travels up into the River West neighborhood where it remains until about 2 a.m. where cameras capture it again. It then leaves River West and heads westbound down Capitol Drive just after 2 a.m. where cameras catch it again. It then doubles back eastbound on Capitol Drive, where cameras catch it again. And the records show it appears to get on the interstate and travel southbound towards and through downtown Milwaukee, and ultimately appear to exit the interstate just around 2:40 a.m., where cameras capture it again. The phone then, after exiting the interstate near College Avenue, heads east in the direction of Warnemont Park. Also captured by a trail of videos. And then by 2:53 a.m., video shows the Honda Civic arriving at Warnemont Park, which is the video I described before of the car smashing the pump house gate. Sade's phone shows her phone her phone records show that her phone remained at Warnemont Park for about an hour and a half, the same amount of time that the car remained down that pump house road from the video. And in that time, police recovered video from that Cudahy Water Department pump house that overlooks Lake Michigan. That video, it's nighttime, it's dark, but it paints a telling tale. It shows, just after that car arrives, a silhouette of a person descending the bluffs near the coastline of Warnemont Park, near the Cudahy Water Department, where Sade Robinson's leg would later be found on April 2nd. That person, the evidence is going to show you, is Maxwell Anderson. This is the time where Sade's body was intentionally discarded into the lake after being dismembered. By this time, Sade is deceased, and Maxwell Anderson, using her own car, is trying to make her disappear. That video from the pump house confirms that he is down there for about an hour and a half before departing the pump house and departing Warnemont Park in her car around 4:30 a.m., which is exactly what the phone records show. Shortly after that, as the phone moves north, it goes off the network around 4:40 a.m. as it heads north into St. Francis towards downtown. Now, investigators also canvassed heavily near the area of where Sade's car was burned, way over on 30th and Lisbon on the north side of Milwaukee. And they also located a trail of videos from this location, picking up around 4:50 a.m., 10 minutes after Sade's phone appears to go off the network. And her Honda Civic is again picked up on those videos in the exact amount of time it would take to drive from where her phone went off the network to the location it's picked up on camera. That trail of videos shows her car, her 2020 Honda Civic, circling around the part of town where her vehicle would eventually be set on fire at 7:30 a.m. The Honda drives around from about 4:50 a.m. to 5:19 a.m., after which it is picked up next on a camera near a playground at 31st and Galena at 6:50 a.m. This is 1.5 blocks away from where her car would later be set on fire. The vehicle drives around more before pulling into the alley where it's set on fire. Police located video from a liquor store and a Milwaukee County Transit bus that depicts the time the vehicle fire was set. Now, you're not going to see it because he parked the car behind this abandoned building that did not obviously have functioning cameras. But these two videos show something crucial. They show two women walking down Lisbon Avenue who all of a sudden stop and begin to act in distress as they are clearly watching something disturbing happen. They are watching the fire being started. They are clearly shocked. They are clearly bothered on the video, which has audio. And right after they see this, a white male walks away from the area where the fire was set as one woman points at him and yells to the passing traffic, "He did that, call the fire department." You will see this white male on video. You will see the distinct clothing he's wearing as he's walking away from Sade's burning vehicle. He's got a dark gray hooded top. He's got dark pants, shoes with white soles, and he's wearing a large camouflaged backpack that appears to be very full. Police are able to follow an additional trail of videos of this person, the person walking away from her burning car. That trail of videos will show you that the person who lit Sade's car on fire at 7:30 a.m. boarded a Milwaukee County Transit bus on 35th and Lisbon at 8:12 a.m. And when that person gets on the bus, you will see their face clear as day on the bus camera video. It is him. It is Maxwell Anderson. He then takes the bus southbound on 35th Street and gets off the bus just blocks from his house. You will see that same vehicle, or that same video from across the street from his house that I mentioned before, showing him walking in his back door at 4:30 a.m., or excuse me, 8:43 a.m., right after he gets off the bus. These videos will prove that Maxwell Anderson lit Sade's car on fire, that no one else was with him. He did it behind an abandoned building in a part of town far from his home. Now you're also going to hear that when police saturated the area, as well as family and friends who were not giving up on trying to figure out what happened to Sade, saturated the area where the car was burned, looking for any clues as to what happened to her. During these searches, family, friends, and police found Sade Robinson's other leg and other foot scattered and severed into pieces near that playground at 31st and Galena, just a block and a half away from where her car was set on fire. You will then hear that on April 18th, Sade's torso was discovered, having washed ashore on Lake Michigan in South Milwaukee. Sade's head had been intentionally cut off of her torso. Both of her legs intentionally severed from her torso. Her right arm intentionally severed from her torso. Her right breast intentionally cut off her torso. The torso was seriously decomposed, but identifying features confirmed it to be Sade. On May 11th, 2024, Sade's right arm was discovered having washed ashore on the shores of Waukegan, Illinois, severely decomposed. You will unfortunately see images of these body parts, which make it clear that Maxwell Anderson intentionally decapitated Sade Robinson, intentionally cut off both of her legs, cut off her left arm, intentionally cut off her right breast, which has never been found, and intentionally cut off her head to date, which is still missing and has never been recovered. While horribly gruesome, this will show you the intent behind what happened to Sade and the intent behind making sure she was disposed of from this world. By April 4th, Maxwell Anderson was arrested by the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, and you are going to hear that his cell phone was recovered from him, confirmed to be the same phone that Sade was texting on April 1st, the last text conversation Sade would ever have. Police searched Maxwell Anderson's phone. They searched his residence, trying in any way to learn more information about what happened to Sade. And while police did not locate any kind of gory scene in the residence, they located telling information in his residence and in his phone, including photos of Sade where she is laying on Maxwell Anderson's couch, face down, with his hand grabbing her right breast. And another photo of Sade's pants and her underwear being pulled off her body. The same pants and underwear that you're going to see that she was wearing on video when she went out with him that night on April 1st. And police actually find those pants and underwear in the trunk of her car after it had been burned. You will also hear from police who searched the area around Maxwell Anderson's residence and who recovered the dark gray sweatshirt that Maxwell Anderson was wearing during the time he lit Sade's vehicle on fire. You will see it's clearly visible on the bus video of him getting on the bus where his face is visible. And you're going to hear that hoodie had Maxwell Anderson's DNA on it and Sade's DNA on it. Additionally, you are going to hear from the medical examiner who examined the body parts that were recovered and was able to conclude that Sade's body was intentionally cut into pieces after her death. The medical examiner will describe the wounds to the body and what she noticed that showed the intentional severing of limbs, including the intentional severing of Sade's head. You are also going to hear and see evidence that the shores of Warnemont Park, where Sade Robinson's leg was found, were not unfamiliar to Maxwell Anderson. It was a place he knew well. It was a place he had taken a prior girlfriend to before, and that he called his secret beach. That's the location where Sade Robinson was discarded into Lake Michigan. It was a place he was familiar with and had taken a prior girlfriend to before. In total, what the evidence in this case is going to show is that Maxwell Anderson murdered Sade Robinson the night of April 1st into April 2nd. He then brutally and callously cut her apart, disposed of her body parts, and burned her car. Maxwell Anderson was the last person to text with Sade Robinson. He was the last person to be in public with Sade Robinson. He was the last person to have Sade Robinson's car. He was the last person to be with Sade Robinson. And the evidence will show that he is responsible for Sade's death. You will see, the evidence will show that what happened to Sade Robinson that night was not an accident. One does not end up going out to dinner and then going out for drinks on Water Street for a good time to being dead and cut up into pieces and discarded into Lake Michigan unless someone intends for that to happen. That's what the evidence will show happened to Sade Robinson. And the evidence will show Maxwell Anderson is responsible. At the end of this trial, I'm going to come back before you and again ask you to do what I asked you to do from the beginning, to use your common sense and search for the truth. And if you do those two things, you will find the defendant guilty.
Defense?
The trial.
Well, isn't this a nice surprise?
Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff right there, man. Crazy stuff. My bad, my volume was low. But yeah, crazy stuff. That's the opening statements. What up, Stacy Sibbett? I see you. Appreciate you joining. Allie, member for 7 months. I'm gonna have to add you over to the thank you. I'll pop it up in a minute, but I'll say it right now. Appreciate you. Stacy Sibbett coming back. What up though? So this right here is the DNA expert. We're going to get into a little bit of that before we get into the cross-examination, and then we'll keep it rolling. I mean, not the cross-examination, the defense closing arguments. But yeah, let's keep it going. Appreciate y'all, family.
How many swabs from...
And what up, Allie? I see you. Hold on. Oh, that's all the new. Okay, Stacy Sibbett, Trakisha. Okay, never mind. We'll keep it rolling.
From the plaid jacket did you do DNA analysis and comparison on?
There were 3 separate areas that were swabbed: the exterior right sleeve, the interior of the front pockets, and the exterior left sleeve.
Start with the exterior from the right sleeve. What did you do? How did you do the analysis? And then what did you find?
Well, I did the analysis the way we would do any other DNA analysis, through the same steps to get the data. I found that it is a 4-person mixture with at least 1 male, and I assumed the presence of Maxwell Anderson on that since it came from his home.
And so then you do a comparison?
Yes, then a comparison, an interpretation and comparison then to the standard from Sade Robinson.
And when you compared that 4-person mixture to the known standard for Sade Robinson, did you find any support for inclusion of her DNA?
I did.
Tell us what you found.
So this statistic is what is known as a likelihood ratio, and that compares 2 different explanations for a given profile. One in which a particular person is included as a contributor, and one in which they are not. So for this item, the 2 different explanations are: this DNA profile is from a mixture of DNA from Maxwell Anderson, Sade Robinson, and 2 unknown individuals, or it comes from a mixture of DNA from Maxwell Anderson and 3 unknown individuals. In this case, it is at least 177,000 times more likely to see this profile if it is a mixture of DNA from Maxwell Anderson, Sade Robinson, and 2 unknown people than from Maxwell Anderson and 3 unknown.
And is that how you were able to conclude that there's very strong support for inclusion of Sade Robinson in that 4-person mixture?
It is actually strong support.
Okay, strong support for inclusion. Thank you.
Yes.
And again, your hypothesis that you're using there, the 4 people, it's because you were able to identify a 4-person mixture.
Yes, and looking at the data, it appears to be a 4-person mixture.
Let's go to the next swab from the interior front pockets of the jacket. What did you find there?
That is a 3-person mixture, and similarly to the other one, the 2 different explanations for this profile would be that is a mixture of DNA from Maxwell Anderson and Sade Robinson and an unknown person, or from Maxwell Anderson and 2 unknown individuals.
What did you find?
In this case, it is at least a quadrillion times more likely to see this profile if it's a mixture of DNA from Maxwell Anderson, Sade Robinson, and 1 unknown, than if it's a mixture of DNA from Maxwell Anderson and 2 unknowns.
And that one is very strong support for inclusion of Sade Robinson in the mixture?
It is.
Lastly, the sleeve of the plaid jacket, the left sleeve of the plaid jacket.
Yes, this is a three-person mixture of DNA
And what'd you find?
that, when compared with Sade Robinson, the likelihood ratio fell into our uninformative range, so that I can't make any conclusions regarding the presence or absence of her DNA in that mixture.
Can't say whether her DNA is in there or whether it's not in there.
Yeah, right, I don't, there's not enough statistical support either way.
All right. So of those three, we have in some strong support for inclusion on the swab from the exterior right sleeve, very strong support for inclusion on the swab from the interior of the front pockets, and for the last one, just uninformative.
Yes.
All right. Corner here in the right.
That is correct.
Playing this clip, it's 56 seconds.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Shout out to today's stream sponsors: No One, Ali, Stacy Sibbett, Chan My Black is Golden. Appreciate y'all, family. Y'all show them some love, drop them some coins in the chat. Appreciate the support. Let's keep it rolling.
What are we seeing?
The same individuals that got into the Honda Civic exited Duke at approximately 9:03 p.m. and are now walking southbound on Water Street.
And he puts his arm around her there, correct?
That is correct.
And they continue walking?
Yes.
She's not stumbling or anything, is she?
No, she is not.
Similar angle or similar view, correct?
Similar view, but this view is now facing southbound on Water Street from Juneau and Water.
All right. So Miss Robinson's car is going to be up here on the upper left,
Correct.
and we're going to see them walking on the right side here, correct?
Correct.
At this point, they're on the west sidewalk,
Yes, they are.
up where my mouse is?
Yes.
Okay. And now they're crossing the street?
Yes, they're crossing the street going eastbound.
Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for that special release of this Rock Solid
Pause at
video,
135. I'm going to back it up from there. Did you see the
which will be including a sneak peek of the new remix of our song. Well, it was No One song, and I hopped on a remix, but it will be coming up after the end of this show. So stick around, and tap into Rock Solid. Yeah, that's it.
two blinks again?
I did.
Okay, I'm going to play it again from 125. She gets in what seat?
She gets in the driver's seat.
All right. Fast forward the video slightly. All right, and then she pulls off northbound on Water Street.
Correct.
April 1, 2024, 6:36:08 p.m. is the clip I'm on right now. What are we looking at, Detective? Where's this video from?
This video is from Duke's on Water.
I'd move Exhibit 238 in.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
Is the date and timestamp on the Duke's on Water video accurate or off at all?
I believe it is accurate.
Okay. So I'm going to play this clip from 6:36:08 p.m. And for the record, when I'm pulling up the clips, I'm going to go by the timestamp on the video screen. And the reason I'm doing that, Detective, when you went through these, as I'm showing you on my screen, there's hundreds of video clips, correct?
Correct.
Some of them, and this is just channel 1, but some of them are only merely seconds long, fair?
Yes.
And some are hours long?
Yes.
Okay. And I think this, for camera 1, down in the corner, there's 214 clips, right?
Correct.
All right. You watched these clips. Were you able to determine some of the cameras just had absolutely no relevance, like they showed the basement or something like that?
Yes, the basement and storage.
Okay. All right. I have camera 1 up. This is 6:36:08 p.m. It's a 1-minute clip. What are we seeing?
You are seeing the 2 individuals that got out of the Honda Civic walking up to Duke's and going inside Duke's.
At 6:36 p.m.?
That is correct.
That would be consistent with them walking from their car where they parked around 6:33?
Absolutely, yes.
Pause that clip at 23 seconds. I'm going to go back to channel 1. The clip picking up at 8:30 and 10 seconds p.m. And for the record, Detective, some of these clips were renamed for purposes of courtroom presentation. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. What's happening at 8:30 and 10 seconds?
The subject who got out of the car with Sade Robinson is now outside smoking a cigarette.
You see that subject in court?
I do.
Can you identify him?
I'll stipulate.
The record will so reflect.
Is that the defendant?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll speed this up slightly.
No.
No.
No, he's sleeping.
All right, stopping it at 2:18. Last clip from camera 1, picking up at 9:03 and 24 seconds. What do we see?
Now you see Mr. Robinson and Mr. Anderson leaving the bar on Duke's.
So they got there at 6:36.
They got inside Duke's at 6:36 and they left at 9:03.
Okay. I'm going to go to channel 9. This is just a different camera of that same door, correct?
Correct.
And he's outside smoking at 8:30?
Yes.
Okay. And then if I go, this is at 8:31 and 7 seconds.
No. No, he's sleeping.
Showing you exhibit, doesn't have number. I got a sticker. This is going to be 456. What are we looking at?
We are looking at 3 different pictures. The first picture is a booking photo of Maxwell Anderson. The second photo is Maxwell Anderson on a bus. And then the third photo is Maxwell Anderson, who is smoking a cigarette outside of Duke's on Water, which is the clip that we just watched.
Okay. And the bus photo is the one that's on the screen marked 204 here, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'm going to move 456 in next to publish.
Any objection?
No.
456 is admitted and you may.
And it's just a side-by-side of those 3 images, correct?
That is correct.
Booking photo on the left, bus video photo in the middle, and smoking a cigarette at Deuce on Water on the right.
Correct.
Picks up at 6:36. It's very hard to see, but I think it says 30 seconds p.m. Is that?
Okay, so now remember we watched some bar footage before prior to this, but that was a different location. So this is another bar. Or I don't know if it's the same bar. It may even be the same bar, but it's more footage. But we're gonna get into that after the defense opening statements, which is where we left off so far. But we appreciate y'all being here. Let's keep it rolling. We're gonna get into the defense opening statements real quick, and then we'll keep it rolling. What up, Destined to Be? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family.
Good morning. The state began by using the phrase common sense. You heard it yesterday during jury selection, and you heard it again today in the state's opening. And they're using the phrase common sense because they want you to ignore the mountain of reasonable doubt that exists in this case. I want to start by telling you guys that much of what Mr. Vance Curzan just talked to you about, we don't dispute. So a lot of this trial isn't in dispute. The timeline, the fact that Max met Sade, Max had met her, went on a date with her, that they went to the Twisted Fisherman, that they went to Duke's, that they were out together that night, that they went back to Max's house, none of that is in dispute. The fact that body parts wash up at Warrimont Park, the fact that body parts are found at 31st and Galena, the fact that those body parts belong to Sade, nobody here is disputing any of that. It's horrible what happened to Sade. It's horrible. Nobody deserved that. And what the state wants you to do is use the emotion of that, along with this phrase like common sense, and use that emotion to convict Mr. Anderson. But I implore you in this trial, your most important job as jurors is to study the evidence closely that's introduced by the district attorney's office. We have no burden of proof. Max is not required to prove anything. The entire burden lies here and rests here entirely on the district attorney's office. And it's the highest burden in the land to marshal together, to put together enough evidence to bring to you to show that Max killed Sade and that he committed those other crimes. There are a few pieces of evidence that the state will rely heavily on. Max near the scene of the car, Max when it's burning, Max being the last person to go on a date with Sade. And that's frankly why law enforcement zeroed in on Max. You are gonna hear that the amount of law enforcement resources that were spent in this case by the Sheriff's Department, the Milwaukee Police Department, the FBI, the amount of resources that were spent on this case, I think is probably unparalleled in Milwaukee history. The amount of money and time and effort that was put into collecting video evidence, to searching Maxwell's home, to interviewing coworkers, interviewing people that might know him, an immense investigation. And the state knows that there are serious holes in their case. They know it. They know that there's reasonable doubt, and that's why they're coming at you with this phrase like common sense. So let's talk about that. There is absolutely no reason for Max to commit a crime like this. What you're gonna hear in this trial is that Max and Sade lined up a date together like any couple of youngsters do, and they lined up a date at Twisted Fisherman. This is a place that Max used to work. You'll hear that they went there, they had...
Hold on, I gotta cut you on that one real quick. He said there's no reason for him to do this. You damn right there was no reason for him to do it. But he did it. What do that got to do with anything? Talk about there was no reason. You saying he had no motive? He was a crazy motherfucker. Look at his picture. My bad. I had to cut in. My bad. Let's keep it rolling.
Dinner, and it was an ordinary evening. From Twisted Fisherman, as the state just told you, they went to Duke's. This is another place where Max is known. There was no secret place that Max took Sade that night. Nowhere that anybody wouldn't have known him or recognized him. These are former places he worked and coworkers that he interacted with. And what I didn't hear was the theory of why Max did this, how Max did this, but I think what I heard in opening just now is that Max must have done this at his home. That seems to be the theory. Max brought Sade back to his home and killed her. Why? It's a normal date. You'll see them like camera footage leaving Duke's. You'll see them, Sade driving back to his place. You'll see them going there. In this timeline you were just given, I don't know how many witnesses they're going to call throughout this trial to put in this video or that video, but one thing you'll see throughout this is that we don't dispute any of that timeline, that they went out together and went back to Max's house, but that doesn't mean he killed her. How did he do it, and why did he do it? Why would he ever do something like that? If
Miss D56, what up, though? I see you. Appreciate you joining.
Max killed Sade in his home, if it happened in that location, as I think they're offering to you, there would be a mountain of DNA evidence. There would be blood. There would be some form of DNA. And I listened carefully when I heard the state's opening, because yes, it's gruesome. Yes, it's horrible. Nobody deserves it. But what was glaringly missing from what I heard was any discussion about DNA evidence. We have a crime lab in the state, law enforcement agencies that are tasked with collecting evidence from locations. I believe the theory that you're being offered today is that Sade was killed at Maxwell's house. What you'll hear about Max's house, I want to tell you a couple of things they didn't tell you. One is that the house is a duplex, upper and lower. There's a stairwell you can enter through the side of the home. If you go in the stairwell, there is a lower unit that has a tenant, if you will, a tenant who lives on the lower level. His name is Pete Warbington. You'll hear his testimony in this trial. Max lives upstairs. And the two of them went to that unit, that house. Pete Warbington, whose home on the lower level, is there that night. You will hear that Mr. Warbington is a self-described or self-professed light sleeper. I think one of the things he had said to the police is, even if one of Max's dogs is chewing a bone on the floor, he would even hear that and send messages to Max, your dog is chewing a bone, you're keeping me up, you're bothering me. He's a very light sleeper guy. And what Pete Warbington will tell you is that he was home, he was there that night, there was no struggle, there was no fight, there was no horrific event, argument between Max and Sade, but this is a downstairs tenant who can hear even the TV playing. He doesn't hear a thing, nothing. No struggle, no indication whatsoever that a murder is happening or happened upstairs.
The evidence is going to show that anything that I may have said, they exacerbate.
There's a common basement they share, but many of you can picture the type of home I'm describing, I'm sure. You walk in the door and it's a small stairwell that goes upstairs, so presumably their theory is that Max killed Sade upstairs. They didn't say it, they're suggesting the home, but upstairs, or maybe the basement is their theory. Either way, law enforcement pulled everything from that home. They searched it not once, but twice, 2 separate searches. You will also hear, by the way, that because of the publicity this case generated, other people had access to that home, social justice people who were riled up online, who showed up at the home, entered, put up banners, entered the home, had access to the area. You'll hear about that too. But law enforcement, for sure, searched the home twice. They didn't find a murder weapon. What weapon was used to kill Sade? They didn't find any of Sade's blood. With all the samples they took throughout that entire house, every comforter, bed sheet, tabletop, wall, none of it has Sade's DNA, blood or DNA. And then I think the theory is that Max drove Sade's car and dismembered her, that Max did that. With what instruments? And you'll hear from medical examiners in this case, that at least one medical examiner who will testify about the sheer force that would be required to remove human limbs. That's no easy task.
I don't remember what I said, but I was high every day for a whole year, and I was saying anything. I was saying done anything.
The sheer force that would be required to remove human limbs. That's no easy task. It's not the kind of thing that you do with a little Swiss Army knife. It's the kind of thing that you do with things like bone saws that they use in autopsies, no evidence of which Max has ever been in possession of or ever researched anything. They looked at everything about Max. Internet history, text message history. His text messages with Sade weren't deleted. They looked through his search history. Has he researched how to cut up a body or how to kill someone? No, absolutely not. No evidence of that. You would expect that if she died at his house, as they are suggesting, that there would be blood and DNA in that home. another thing that wasn't mentioned in opening. At Warmont Park.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Perfect timing for that. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Just because he cleaned up good and he knew how to clean up and he didn't search it on his own phone or searched it somewhere else, don't mean he didn't do it. So back with that one. And shout out to Ali dropping the gifted membership. Y'all show her some love. Drop some coins in the chat. Appreciate you, family. And shout out to Factual Lie. Factual Lie always here on the replay. Glad to see you gifted a membership. That came from Ali when you happen to see this. So please thank her. And I appreciate y'all. Let's keep it rolling.
Sade's body, as you heard, a leg wash is located at Warmont Park. As law enforcement was looking through that area, they found bloody gloves. Now, these gloves played a central part in law enforcement's investigation because those gloves are sort of the quintessential evidence of a dismemberment or a murder. They have blood on them, they're plastic, sort of what you can picture, plastic gloves that you would wear, they're the clear type. And law enforcement, what they do is they try to determine, because they're certain you don't find bloody gloves near the scene, very close proximity to a leg. Certainly these gloves play some role in this crime. And so they look for any connection between Max and these gloves. They go to a place he volunteered.
Real quick, let me tell you, I'm not going to play that part, but they did go through the gloves. It was like 3 gloves. So I think they had a little blood on them, but they was not connected to this scene. Apparently, this is like, they dump a lot of bodies around there or something, or do a lot of blood stuff. But it was not connected, so we won't be playing that. But just so y'all know, they did find some gloves with some blood on it in a rock, and a rock, but it was not connected to this murder. It was another murder, apparently. What up, TSC? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family. Y'all show TSC some love.
Volunteered at. They go to former places where he's worked. You'll hear that Max has worked at various bars in Milwaukee. He was a bartender is a bartender in the community. In that they looked at these gloves, these bloody gloves that were found by the leg, in that these gloves did not have Max Anderson's DNA on them. None. 1 in a quadrillion, or whatever the statistics are. They're not ever anything that he wore. And with respect to Sade's DNA, it's uninformative. Could be, could not be. Not able to rule it out. And not once do these gloves ever connect to Max, ever. No person that's seen him wear gloves like this, they don't match with the place he volunteered at. They don't match at any of the restaurants and kitchens that he's worked at. No connection. Sade's burning car. We know that the car is lit on fire near 30th in Lisbon or 31st in Lisbon, and you'll do with that what you will. I'll say this. The question is going to be, did Max light that car on fire? That's how you get to guilty or not guilty in the arson. Was Max the one who lit that car on fire? I find it interesting, and I hope you will too, that when we look at DNA evidence and we think about the importance of that type of evidence, the reason why it's so crucial is because we know from our human experiences that people can be wrong. We know people can be mistaken. We know that people can believe they saw something when they didn't see something. So I'm going to ask you,
Lady Justice is blind. Everybody can hear.
Study the evidence closely. When you're done with this trial and you take this back in the jury room, study everything very, very closely with a fine-tooth comb. Because eyewitnesses can be wrong, but the way we either prove or disprove it is we collect DNA swabs and we send things to our crime lab and we test them to see, does this link the person to an item? There is no accelerant or flammable liquid that connects to Max, nothing from his clothes where they can say, oh, this jacket he wore had gasoline or lighter fluid on it. But most significantly, they swabbed the exterior door handle of Sade Robinson's car. Her DNA is on her exterior door handle. Max's DNA is not. This is the same car that is burning in that area of 31st and Lisbon. And a person can be, we know from jury selection, in the wrong place at the wrong time. So what of all this video evidence that you just heard about in opening? That there's, and I told you as well, hundreds of hours of video footage that's pulled from Capitol Drive, Lisbon. Interestingly, you will hear, as Mr. Vance Curzan just told you, that when Sade left Max's house, her car actually went to Commerce Street in the Lower East Side, actually right past where she lives. You'll hear that. But what's important about the video evidence, all the footage that they pulled from every, and you'll learn a lot in this trial, the amount of cameras as you can imagine exist, double it or triple it, what you might think is out there. Poll cams that the Milwaukee Police Department keeps throughout the city. The amount of cameras as you can imagine exist, double it or triple it. What you learn a lot in this trial, the amount of cameras as you can imagine exist, double it or triple it, what you might think is out there. Poll cams that the Milwaukee...
He said, whatever you think, double it or triple it. That's how much they watching y'all. That's how much they watching us. As much as we think as we see, they got about 3-4 times as much or 2-3 times as much of that. So that's just, man, they always watching. Big brother always watching.
Milwaukee Police Department keeps throughout the city. Ring doorbells you never know are hidden in a certain spot. Convenience stores that have a camera on the side. All of this video, all the hundreds of hours of video of when Sade's, and I say 100-hour collectively because what you're talking about is all these videos that go back hours and they examine all of them. Not one time on any of the video footage do you ever see Max Anderson driving Sade Robinson's Civic, ever. You can see the car, but you can't ever conclude that he is the one who is driving this vehicle. It's a pure speculation. And his phone never leaves his house after Sade goes home. What would one expect to see after an offense like this? What would you expect to see happens with Max Anderson? Perhaps changes in one's appearance. Perhaps they flee town. Perhaps they're acting different and nervous and unusual at work. Nothing changed with Max Anderson's routine after he and Sade had their day together. Continued to go to work.
Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting the state earlier, but the state can talk the ears off a donkey. This continued filibustering has got to stop.
Managers and coworkers that saw him, he continued going to his jobs. He didn't change his appearance. He didn't cut his hair. He didn't concoct some plan to leave town. He didn't try to talk to the downstairs tenant to concoct stories. None of that. And that's because he wasn't responsible for any of this. There'd be no reason for him to do those things. And when law enforcement did their investigation and began looking into things and looking for her blood and looking for her DNA, they were presented with the fact, and looking for Max on video driving her car, they were presented with the inescapable fact that all of it excludes him. And that's why you hear a phrase like common sense in voir dire and now. And I'm not telling you to ignore common sense, to be clear, not what we're saying. But when they emphasize a phrase like search for the truth, use common sense, it's at the exclusion of an equally, if not more important phrase, proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Justice sometimes is hard to administer. Finding Max Anderson not guilty because there is reasonable doubt is your duty, as hard as that can be in cases where we know that they're particularly gruesome. But Max had nothing to do with these crimes. And the law says it's not enough for him to look guilty or maybe be guilty, or there's a few bad things that look bad. They have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And when you, as jurors, start to go into the jury room and examine these pieces of evidence, you will be confronted with nothing but reasonable doubt, and your duty is to return a not guilty verdict. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, we're going to pass out notes.
Big garbage, full of garbage. Garbage. That was a whole lot of garbage. Crazy. I still got some more. Let's keep it rolling, family. That was crazy. Let's get to the bar scene now. This is the second bar. So apparently they went to 2 bars. And this was the second one. We played the first one on the last video, or one of the last videos. And this is the other bar. So let's get into it.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to play and orient us now. Where's the entry door that they go in?
The entry door is on the left.
Off the screen to the left over here.
Correct.
All right, and where are they going to sit?
They are going to sit on the bar, at the bar, the last 2 chairs in the bar.
These 2?
A nice
Yes.
surprise.
Okay. Playing that clip from 6:36 and 30 seconds. You see the bartender greeting the defendant?
I do.
Okay. Then a bouncer walks over with Sade?
Yes.
And she takes a seat.
Hey, real quick,
All right, I'm gonna speed it up slightly.
hold on, real quick. Hey, Trakisha, I've been hearing that all throughout the trial too, and I actually meant to go and look because they said they were saying that in some of the news. So I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna see if I can find some news clips of where they were saying how rich his family is, because apparently that was in the news back then. But I forgot to go and check for him. I'm gonna check right now. Appreciate that reminder.
Here. What are they doing?
They are talking to the bartender right now.
The bartender just did what?
Provided a drink to Mr. Anderson.
And now what's she doing?
Making a drink for Miss Robinson.
All right, and Miss Robinson has just gotten up?
Yes.
Where does she go?
To the bathroom.
All right, and she returns to the bathroom at what time?
6:41:08.
I'm sorry, returns from the bathroom. And then they just essentially sit there for a while, correct?
Correct.
All right, I've got that clip paused at 6:42 and 8 seconds p.m. I'm gonna go to the next clip. This clip picking up at 7:10 p.m. And in the time span between these, are they essentially just sitting there and talking?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Going to advance the video.
Was
Not the bartender, Sade.
Sade is just sitting there.
All right, and what happened just now?
Maxwell Anderson finished his drink, and the bartender provided him with another drink.
What's the bartender doing now?
She is getting shots.
And the dice game is over?
Correct.
Did she pour one for Sade?
No.
Okay. Just the defendant and then the other person who was playing the dice game?
Correct.
And at 7:17 and 42 seconds p.m., the shots are taken?
Correct.
Okay. Gonna advance this video to 16 minutes 43 seconds, picking up at 7:27:07 p.m. What's Sade doing?
Sade takes off her coat.
Does Mr. Anderson also have some kind of a vape?
Yes.
Okay. Paused at 7:52:38 p.m. I'm going to advance the video. Mr. Anderson stepped away for a moment, correct?
Correct.
And Sade and the female are doing what?
Sade got up. The female is going to the music box, and Sade eventually goes over by the music box by the other female.
Okay, and you know from reviewing other camera angles that even though it's not on camera here, what is there is what?
A music box.
Okay. At 7:55 p.m., Mr. Anderson returns from the bathroom?
Correct.
The bartender just brought over 2 pitchers of what appears to be water, correct?
Yes.
And what else did she bring over?
She brought over cups. Plastic cups.
What's going to happen next?
They are going to play beer pong.
On this red table here?
Yes, the red table that says Dukes.
Were you made aware of whether anybody had provided information to the police about Sade playing beer pong at Duke's?
Yes, there was an individual that provided that information.
Going to advance. I paused at 7:57:20 p.m.
Because you can see her phone, and then you can see the red on the back of her phone.
All right, I'll back it up and zoom just briefly. So if someone had indicated that she had taken a Snapchat playing beer pong at Duke's, would this seem to suggest that that did happen?
Correct.
Snapchat me that. Oh, never mind. So yeah, I did find one clip. I don't think this one, I'm not sure if they talk about the richness of the family, but let's see. This is one of the clips from back then, about a year ago, around the time it happened, or a little bit after the time it happened. Let's see what it say.
Alive before her death. It was owned by Maxwell Anderson.
He is charged with killing and dismembering her body. Fox 6's Bill Miston explains he's now gotten rid of the house.
The 2-story duplex on South 39th Street has become a memorial for Sade Robinson.
I miss you already.
On Friday, family and friends held a memorial service for her.
Justice will be served for my daughter. Justice for Sade. Justice for Sade.
On the same day Robinson would have turned 20 years old, the man charged with killing and dismembering her sold his home. That home on South 39th Street. It's one of the places investigators believe Robinson was after she was last seen alive with Anderson. She went missing in early April, and parts of her body have been found around Milwaukee County. State and county records show Anderson's father sold the home to 2 LLCs on Friday, May 10th. Fox 6 called the agent behind the LLCs, Nanette Behrens. She later called us back.
Behrens tells me that she worked for the buyers in the private sale. The parties have no connection to.
Behrens says that is until closing on Friday, when the pink memorial was seen outside, and the sellers said the authorities had recently come back to the property and opened up the basement floor to get access to a drain pipe. Earlier this month, the sheriff's office said any home sale won't impact the criminal investigation, saying if at any point investigators determine they need to re-enter the home, they will secure another search warrant and do so, no matter who owns the home. In Milwaukee, Bill Miston, Fox 6 News.
Thank you, Bill. Anderson has pleaded.
All right, just catching y'all up. That's one of the ones I found. I'm going to look for that rich one, though. We're going to keep it going. Keep it going. Appreciate y'all, family. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe.
Going to speed the video up here. She's standing there on her phone?
Yes.
Okay. Where's Mr. Anderson?
He is at the bar getting drinks. Mr. Anderson takes the drinks over to Sade.
Okay. He brought 2 drinks over?
He did.
And one of them Sade takes and begins drinking, correct?
Correct.
Paused it at 8:04:04 p.m. I'm going to advance it to 8:20 p.m. 8:35:42 p.m. Mr. Anderson's returned to that area where they were originally seated.
Correct.
Pause.
Showing you exhibit 58. What is that?
That is the front of the 2020 Honda Civic.
Okay, and again, exhibit 59.
It's the passenger side view of the Honda Civic.
Can you see fire damage to the exterior of this car?
You can.
Can you describe where?
On the front, or on the top portion of the vehicle doors.
Exhibit number 60. What is that?
The passenger rear corner overall of the Honda Civic.
Exhibit 61.
It's a front driver's side corner overall view of the Honda Civic.
Did it appear to you that there was at least some sort of front end damage to that vehicle?
Family of the missing 19-year-old Milwaukee woman is now sharing this fundraiser for funeral expenses. Now, we've reached out to Sade's family and investigators for more information in her disappearance. Meanwhile, searchers were back out again this afternoon at Waterman Park in Cudahy, where someone discovered a human leg just last week. And for the first time, we are hearing from one of Sade's co-workers, Evelise Martinez, telling Miriam McCarr that she is now just heartbroken by this whole ordeal.
Trudging through the woods, family and friends of Sade Robinson are determined to find clues in the disappearance of the Milwaukee woman.
Well, I got off of work for her because I would do anything for her because, like I said, she didn't deserve this.
It was at Pizza Shuttle where Evelise Martinez worked alongside Sade for 3 years and says the 19-year-old was full of joy and love for her friends.
She's just a generous person in general. Like, I don't remember one day that she was, angry or upset.
Now Martinez is joining the search countless others have started over the past week.
It's devastating. You always see this stuff on the news, but you never think it'd be one of your friends.
If you're satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt, Martinez showed me photos of her and Sade that bring her peace as the days carry on and her absence gets harder.
It brings me more to heartbreak. Like, I still can't believe this is happening. It's not easy losing someone you love, blood or not,
The mystery behind Sade's disappearance has been a nightmare for the woman's family, who now shared a GoFundMe to help with funeral costs once they are able to lay her to rest. But officials haven't released new information on the investigation. We asked Mayor Cavalier Johnson his thoughts on the case that's left the community on edge.
As this investigation continues, and it is still obviously an active investigation, I've been asked by law enforcement not to reveal anything at the moment because the investigation is still ongoing. I know that those agencies take this very, very seriously and will approach it with due diligence.
As loved ones wait to learn more, Martinez and other Pizza Shuttle employees are lifting up their friend.
She was an angel.
As they continue their search.
All right, that was just a little piece. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the closing arguments from both sides. Make sure y'all hit that like button once again, and we're going to get right into it. Appreciate y'all, family. Let's keep it rolling.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Shout out to our stream sponsors. Appreciate y'all, family.
The way you believe it deserves under all of the circumstances. If you're satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant caused the death of Sade Robinson with the intent to kill, you should find the defendant guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. If you're not so satisfied, you must find the defendant not guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, and you should consider whether the defendant is guilty of first-degree reckless homicide in violation of statutory section 940.02 sub 1, which is a lesser included offense of first-degree intentional homicide. You should make every reasonable effort to agree unanimously on the charge of first-degree intentional homicide before considering the offense of first-degree reckless homicide. However, if after full and complete consideration of the evidence, you conclude that further deliberation would not result in unanimous agreement on the charge of first-degree intentional homicide, you should consider whether the defendant is guilty of first-degree reckless homicide. Now, as I already stated, first-degree reckless homicide is defined in 940.02 sub 1 of our criminal code and is committed by one who recklessly causes the death of any reasonable hypothesis consistent with the defendant's innocence. You must do so and return a verdict of not guilty. The term reasonable doubt means a doubt based upon reason and common sense. It is a doubt for which a reason can be. Draw your own conclusions from the evidence and decide upon your verdict according to the evidence under the instructions that I have given to you. State, are you prepared to proceed?
Yes.
Please do so.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of this trial, I told you that I was going to ask you to do two things then. I'm asking you to do the same two things now, and it's use your common sense and search for the truth. That is what the bulk of those instructions are telling you to do. You have heard all of the evidence in this case. You have heard from dozens of witnesses. You have seen hundreds of images, watched stacks of videos. You are fully equipped to determine what the facts are, what it is that happened on April 1st and April 2nd. All of that information has rendered you capable of rendering fair and rational verdicts. And the judge has instructed you on the law, and shortly, probably not today, but when you come back tomorrow, it's going to be your time to let your voice heard after hearing everything that you have heard. On the night of April 1st, 2024, into April 2nd, 2024, Sade Robinson was murdered. She was taken to Warnemont Park, cut into pieces, dispersed mostly into Lake Michigan, her car taken to the north side of Milwaukee, and burned behind an abandoned building at 30th and Lisbon. And the evidence in this case has shown you beyond a reasonable doubt that the individual responsible for those intentional acts is Maxwell Anderson. This is my opportunity to summarize the evidence for you, and I'm going to do it in kind of essentially the form of a timeline on the TV screen here. So we'll start out with Sade's day. And Sade Robinson, she was a 19-year-old young woman just coming into adulthood. She was anything and everything that any 19-year-old would want to be. She worked a job. She worked 2 jobs. She went to MATC. She was supporting herself. She had her small Lower East Side apartment, modest, and most of all, she was loved and respected by her family. She was fun, social, and clearly anybody knew her, cared about her deeply, until she came into contact with 33-year-old Maxwell Anderson. At 9 a.m., April 1st, Sade left her apartment at 1858 North Commerce Street. She is wearing the last clothes she would ever wear, that white cable knit top, the black puffy coat, the ripped jeans, and the white shoes. And she went to work at Pizza Shuttle. She arrived at Pizza Shuttle over there on North Farwell Avenue on the Lower East Side around 9:15 a.m., and she worked her shift, just like any other day of her life. Beginning around 4:15 p.m., she began texting with Maxwell Anderson. They had met the previous weekend at Victor's. You saw the video of her going into Victor's and then him walking her out. And it's clear that they were intending to meet up that night. And Maxwell Anderson says, why not Twisted Fisherman? And this text conversation begins around 4:15 p.m. and they agree to meet there shortly after 5 p.m. We know from the cellular records where each of them are at those times. Maxwell Anderson is over at his house on South 39th Street, and Sade is up here at Twisted Fisherman. When her shift is over, she goes to meet him at the Twisted Fisherman. Maxwell Anderson takes an Uber ride. Sade leaves work at 5, and the phone information shows them both moving towards the Twisted Fisherman right around the same time. And we know that Maxwell Anderson walks in to the Twisted Fisherman at 5:09 p.m. wearing that black Carhartt shirt that would later be found in his laundry, and the red plaid jacket that police found inside Maxwell Anderson's house that you know has Sade Robinson's DNA on it and Maxwell Anderson's DNA on it. 5:11, 2 minutes after he gets there, he sits down at the bar, he sends a text to Sade, just got to Twisted. Sade arrives around 5:20. We know that from about 5:20 p.m. to 6:24 p.m., the two of them sit at Twisted Fisherman. They eat, they have some drinks. They both take shots. In fact, at one point, Sade turns down a shot, but they're just hanging out. And after 6:24 p.m., the two of them leave Twisted Fisherman together. They walk out and they walk together to Sade Robinson's 2020 Honda Civic that she has driven there. Sade drives the two of them from Twisted Fisherman to Dukes on Water. We know they travel to Dukes on Water between 6:24 p.m., arriving there just around 6:33 p.m., and you saw the video of them parking. Sade, again, driving, Maxwell Anderson riding passenger, just the two of them. They walk into Dukes on Water at 6:36 p.m., consistent with the phone information showing them arrive at Dukes on Water at 6:36 p.m. At 9:03 p.m., actually, I'll go back up. They stay there. They hang out right here. Maxwell Anderson is drinking. He's having...
Okay, yeah, hold on. I don't know. They might be about to get into it. He might explain it, but I see a question in the chat. I haven't watched this part yet. It's my first time watching the closing arguments. I haven't even watched it at all. But they did check her ID at this bar. I don't know if they did at the first bar, but at this bar, I believe they did check her ID, and the security walked over earlier. I had that clip. I think I might be playing it later. I'm not sure, but if not, I can pull it up. I know where it's at. But when they first got to this bar, the security did actually check her ID and walk her over to the bar, and they wasn't serving her no drinks at the bar. Only he was drinking. But then when they came to the beer pong tables, then she started drinking. He went and got some drinks by herself and brought them back to the beer pong table, and then she drank some of those drinks. So they did ID her at this bar, but I don't think they did at the first bar.
Multiple drinks. Sade's got a couple drinks. Mr. Anderson takes it upon himself to play a few games of bar dice, and he takes several shots. But at no point at any time when they're at Twisted Fisherman or Dukes on Water is Sade Robinson doing anything that comes close to excessive drinking or anything like that. In fact, when you watch her on these videos, she is totally coherent. She has her wits about her. When they leave at 9:03 p.m., she's fine. They walk out together. She's not stumbling. She's totally fine. They walk together to her car. She gets in the driver's seat, and he gets in the passenger seat, and it's just the two of them who leave the bar together. And ladies and gentlemen, this video right here that's playing on the screen and the surrounding videos that watch Sade going into her car, this is the last time Sade Robinson was in public with anybody else. That young lady who's in Dukes, who she gives a hug to at the end of the night when they're leaving, that's the last person other than the defendant who she was with, who she had contact with. That's what the evidence shows. After this time, they leave, and we know exactly what route they took. Through the videos from downtown, they drove Sade Robinson driving, Mr. Anderson riding passenger. They take McKinley up. They get on the interstate. They drive to the south side. This is occurring from 9:04 to 9:14 p.m. By 9:14 to 9:25, they're getting off the interstate, heading westbound on Morgan Avenue. It's the Holt Avenue exit, but it's Morgan Avenue to the west of the interstate. And they go and they arrive at his residence just around 9:20 to 9:25 p.m. That's what the phone records confirm. And that is what the videos, here's one of them from around Sade's residence, show as well. You had the videos of them pulling into the alley. All of this confirming, by the way, that Sade Robinson's phone is essentially wherever her car is that night, right? It's at Pizza Shuttle when she's working, it's at Twisted Fisherman when she's there, and it goes back to her with Maxwell Anderson after they leave Dukes. And they don't stop anywhere. Remember that. When they leave Dukes, they don't stop anywhere. It's a continuous trip on that Life 360 app from Dukes to Mr. Anderson's home, and they arrive there at 9:20 p.m. And we know that after 9:20 p.m., 9:23, this is that really small video that shows them coming into his backyard at 9:24 p.m. She has parked her car in the alley, just the two of them, and they come inside at 9:24. And by 9:25 p.m., they are upstairs. That motion light is on. And you heard from the detective who watched this video for hundreds of hours. You saw a lot of the clips from here overnight, some of them pretty cumbersome, but what did that establish that happened? It established that they were both there in Maxwell Anderson's apartment. And there is constant movement coming from that upstairs front window, starting at 9:25 p.m. when they're up there, and going essentially on and off all the way up until 12:45 a.m., at which time all movement at that house, in that front window, and in that backyard by that back gate stops. What else happens in that time? You see movement beginning at 11:24 p.m. in the side yard. Here's the slide that shows their phones remaining there, corroborating what the video shows of her car arriving there as well. At 11:25 p.m., we see that movement in the side yard beginning. Then there's movement again after 11:25 p.m. on and off in that above front room. 12:05 to 12:08 a.m., what do we know is happening? We know that Maxwell Anderson is on his phone, traversing his photo gallery, where he has, by 12:05, already acquired pictures, already taken pictures of Sade Robinson incapacitated on his couch. She is face down. Her face is buried in his couch cushion. He has her breast exposed, and he is grabbing her right breast, the breast that would later be cut off of her body, and pulling her pants down. And you know from the search warrant of the house, this right here is that brown ottoman, this right here is the red couch. Between the movement in that front window and these photographs, you know that Sade Robinson became incapacitated while she was in that front room of Maxwell Anderson's house, laying on his couch, face down. She is out of it there. Out of it. He is grabbing her because he knows he can, because she's not going to do anything about it. She has no power. You can see that in those photos. Her face down in the cushions. 12:44 a.m., this is the last movement in that side yard. And if you recall, I made it a point to ask about the two blinking lights from her car, the Honda Civic. You saw it in the video from when they left Dukes on Water, and you see it in this video from across the street. It's faint, but it's there. This is the time, ladies and gentlemen, where Maxwell Anderson is removing Sade's body from his house, taking her to the car. It's now time to get rid of her, and he's got to do it in her car. He needs the car away from his home. He needs to get rid of anything that's going to tie her back to his home. He needs that car gone. He needs her gone. 12:47 a.m. is when we see the car leaving the house, going southbound, exiting onto Euclid, and from there you saw an exhausting amount of videos showing the car driving away from his house, northbound to the north side of Milwaukee. That was 12:49, 12:51 going northbound on 35th Street, passing Badger Ham, 12:53 a.m. northbound, passing 35th and Greenfield, and eventually we get the exact route that is taken when we get the phone records. He drove northbound on 35th, he went to the downtown area, and he ultimately exited the interstate just prior to 1 o'clock a.m. Remember, this timestamp was off by about 2 minutes and I thought it was 2 minutes, 40 seconds or so that the detective said. That is her car. We know it's her car because this camera happens to have a license plate reader. And that license plate reader is putting her on that exit ramp downtown at the exact same time that her phone, her Life 360 and Verizon records show that that car would be exiting at that same time. What can you...
All right, hold on. That's getting a little crazy, All right, hold on, man, hold on. Let's see where we was at with the car. Okay, no, we ain't gonna play the car burn yet. We get back to that after then. Never mind, I keep this rolling. Appreciate y'all being here. Let's keep it going. We get back to the car burn later.
Conclude from that. You can conclude that her phone is in that car. She's in that car. Someone's driving that car. It's Maxwell Anderson. Continues to drive. He goes up Commerce, passes by her apartment building. I know something of defense was trying to make some note of it. They never stop at her apartment building. There's no evidence that happened whatsoever, and the detectives reviewed hours and hours of video footage from her apartment building to ensure that car never came back and that Sade never came back to the apartment. He didn't stop there, and these records confirm that. What does he do? He drives the car with her body up into the River West area by about 1:33 a.m. There he is at 106, driving her past Commerce Street, passing Lakefront Brewery. And then he heads into River West. You saw the video of the car in River West off of Dowsman near Pleasant Valley Park along the Milwaukee River. And what do we know happens while he's out and about driving around? His phone dies. He leaves his phone behind. That was done on purpose. Because look at all the records we have showing where her phone traveled and where his phone traveled before this time. He left it behind to cover up. That's why he did that. And we know that because we looked at it, and you heard from the analyst today who said that all activity on that cell phone stopped after 12:08 a.m., right after he's deleting pictures of Sade Robinson on his phone, of him grabbing her. Phone dies at 1:35 a.m. while he's driving her car around trying to get rid of her and trying to get rid of the car. He goes down Capitol. You saw the 2 videos showing the car going down Capitol. He doubles back towards the interstate. And by 2:20 to 2:25, he's back on the interstate heading back towards downtown. He eventually goes down through downtown on Interstate 94, ends up heading sort of west over to Greenfield, and then he comes back. And where do we know that he's heading at this time? He's heading to Warnemont Park. The phone records show that between 2:34 and 2:39, he's on the interstate, getting off on College Avenue. We saw the video of him exiting on College Avenue, and you saw the video of the car going through the airport tunnel in the direction of Warnemont Park. No stops being made, by the way. 2:51, he's passing by St. Luke's Hospital, going north on Lake Drive, all in an effort to ultimately end right here, Warnemont Park. Keep in mind what Agent Reiner testified to, the 4 dwellings that Sade Robinson's Life 360 showed. There were 4 of them. Twisted Fisherman, her own work, Twisted Fisherman, Dukes on Water, Maxwell Anderson's house, and Warnemont Park, where she ends up. And her phone stays there for over 2.5 hours. Excuse me, an hour and a half. 2:52 is the arrival time, 4:33 a.m. That's the time the phone is there. We know at 2:52, her car is passing by the water department. And by 2:53 a.m., this was one of the first videos we saw, there's the Honda Civic going down Pulaski Avenue, going down the service road and ramming the gate to get down that service road, that steep road that you saw a photo of today when Chloe Wright was testifying. Why ram the gate? He knows how to get down there without ramming the gate. You saw a photo of the place, the way that they would walk down. You ram the gate because there is a body in the car that you have to get rid of, that you can't carry. He rams the gate. We know it's using her car because the crime lab fitted the broken pieces of Honda back to her vehicle. No question about whose car was used to ram that gate. It was Sade Robinson's Honda Civic. From 2:52 to 4:30 a.m., like I said, the phone remains in that location. What is that location? That is Maxwell Anderson's secret beach. It's the place, of all the places in Milwaukee County to go, of all the places to go, Sade's body ends up at his secret beach. He chose that location on purpose. You heard the reasons why today. It's secluded. He didn't even want to tell Chloe Wright what the name of the place was. He wants to keep it to himself. And you've seen the photos of it. You've seen how high those cliffs are. This is the middle of the night on a Monday into a Tuesday in a rainy early April evening. No one's going to catch him in the act. It's pitch black down there. It's the perfect place in his mind to take her to accomplish this, because he knew he had work to do. He needed to cut her up and get rid of her. So he takes her to a place he knows and a place he trusts, a place he knows he's not going to get caught. You saw the videos of the person who we now know as Maxwell Anderson ascending and descending the bluffs on the north side of the pump house, the side where her leg would later be found on April 2nd, going up the exact paths that Chloe Wright told you they would take to go down there and hang out. The exact paths. This is the time, ladies and gentlemen, where he is cutting up her body. She is dead. Now it's time for him to get rid of her. So that's where he goes. He takes her to his place. You saw on the video when he's coming up the bluff at 4:26 a.m., he's down there for over an hour and a half. And in that time, you heard gruesomely all that was done to Sade. All the cutting, the blunt force trauma to her bones, all of it done to get rid of her, to make her disappear. That's what he wanted to do. That's what he tried to do. And he did it in this time frame, from about 3 a.m. when he got there to 4:30 when he left. Now it is time for him to get rid of her car. So what does he do? 4:34, he drives her car out of Warnemont Park. We know he heads northbound on Lake Drive. We know that because Sade's phone is still in his car. Here's the record showing the direction of travel. From the site where the leg is found, her body is dispersed, headed northbound on Lake Drive, westbound on Howard Avenue here until the phone goes off the network.
Bruh.
There's the video of him going by. And there's the last clip before it gets to the north side. And by 4:50 a.m., it is at 27th and Wells, where you can see the driver is a white person. You can see that in this video, and you can see how fogged up it is, and you can see how there's something covering the back window. He then drives north, circles the area of 32nd and Vliet, tries to go down this dead end near 34th and McKinley, but activates a ring light, so he decides, I gotta go to a different place than this. There's no reason for him to drive down that street. Circles around until about 5:20 a.m. when he goes off camera and reappears at 6:50. And it is at this point, ladies and gentlemen, that he is in the 31st and Galena playground. This is the area where her leg is found, her left leg. That gap shows that during that time period, he went into that playground to dispose of her leg. By 7:30 a.m., you saw the video of him walking away from the burning car, where we now know from the crime lab he used an ignitable petroleum distillate to light the car on fire. And he walks away. And the trail of videos capture him walking southbound on 30th. He goes down Walnut Street. Trail of videos captures him all the way at 8:12 when he boards a Milwaukee County Transit bus, where his face is clearly visible, clear as day, and he's wearing a hoodie, that gray hoodie that would later end up in a dumpster 2 houses down from his. Tried to get rid of it, but he didn't. They found it. And whose DNA is on the hoodie? That is not the hoodie he's wearing on the date, by the way. That's the hoodie he's wearing after he has just dismembered a body and burned a car. And whose DNA is on it? His and Sade's. What are the chances of that? It's because he did it. It's because he's responsible. And he takes the bus home. He sits there, not a single time pulling out his phone. Why? Because he left it back home on purpose. And then by 8:42, walking in his back gate with that massive backpack that we have never found. He got rid of it. And whatever else was in it and whatever else was used, he tried to get rid of everything. He tried to cover up. And what does he do after he gets home? He powers up his phone and he sends a text. Morning, how's work going? Disgusting. Right after he's just burned her car, killed her. Why did he do that? He's covering up. He's trying to cover his tracks. He's trying to make sure everything seems normal. Same reason he went to work that day. Couldn't let his routine go out. He needed to maintain appearances, despite the fact that in the middle of the night, he's out cutting up a human body and burning a car. And by 5:29, Sade's leg is found on April 2nd. By 9 p.m. that day, she's reported missing, and the welfare checks begin. By 1 p.m. on the 4th, Mr. Anderson's arrested. And we know that in the subsequent days and month later, April 18th, May 11th, additional body parts are found. Her head, her right breast have never been found. He succeeded in getting rid of it.
Look at stupid. Look at stupid trying to look stupid. Don't he look stupid? Yeah, all right, looking stupid. Oh, I don't know. It's stupid.
Those. That's what happened. Those are the facts. That's what the evidence showed. Now you have to decide, based on the law given to you, the crimes. I want to focus on the homicide count. There's 4 charges. Numbers 2, 3, and 4 are pretty self-explanatory, and you have them in writing. Mutilating a corpse, hiding a corpse. Counts 2 and 4 are essentially the same elements. Count 3, the arson, pretty self-explanatory. But now you're given this first-degree intentional as well as first-degree reckless homicide. First-degree intentional homicide has 2 elements that I have to prove. I have to prove that the defendant caused the death of Sade Robinson and acted with the intent to kill. While the law requires that he acted with the intent to kill, it does not require that that intent exists for any given period of time. In fact, it says it may be formed at any time before the act, including the instant before the act. And you're also instructed that intent should not be confused with motive. While proof of intent is necessary, proof of motive is not. Motive being the reason why someone did something. That's not what we have to prove. We have to prove intent. And only if you don't all agree that he is guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, which I'm confident you will, do you even look at first-degree reckless homicide. The defendant caused the death of Sade Robinson, caused the death by criminally reckless conduct under circumstances that showed utter disregard for human life. Did he show any regard for life at all? No.
Lady Justice is
So how do we know this was intentional? Everything you heard shows this was intentional. Consider all the things he intentionally did and the reasonable inferences from those actions. At 9:25 p.m., when Sade drives him and herself to his house, just the 2 of them, they went inside, and we know from before that she is coherent, she is not drinking excessively, she's in control of herself. But by 12:05, she is completely incapacitated, face down on his couch. And Anderson is grabbing her exposed right breast with no reaction from her whatsoever. He's pulling her pants down, taking photos while doing these things. This shows she was completely incapacitated, if not deceased, by that time. Consider all the acts to this point. He has her at his house, on his furniture, completely deprived of any strength or power over herself. He's then taking pictures and then intentionally takes her car and her and drives her away because he's now got to get her out of there, and he has to separate himself from her and her car. He drives with seemingly minimal direction, leaves his phones behind, brings with him a huge bag, some kind of a tool to cut up the body, takes her to a place he knows well, all done in the middle of the night. He takes her to Warnemont Park, cuts her body up, drives away, goes to the north side, goes to the 31st and Galena playground, discards her leg. He intentionally picks an abandoned building to leave her car behind, something that he has no connection to. Intentionally stuffs her clothing that she is wearing that night. The underpants literally pulled off of her body, still in the jeans when they're found partially burned in her trunk, stuffs her clothes in her trunk, uses a petroleum distillate to light the car on fire. All of that stuff was done on purpose. He then heads home, powers up his phone, and texts her. Everything about this is intentional. If it was unintentional, if it was anything else, you don't cut her up and do everything you can to get rid of her. If it was an accident, you get her some help. You don't try to make her disappear. And we know from the medical examiner, there is no other explanation. There was no natural disease, no toxicology reason whatsoever for this. If it was unintentional, he wouldn't have had the wherewithal to do everything he did so quickly. Think about it. In just hours, she went from literally driving a car to being incapacitated and him somehow being able to pull off getting her to Warnemont Park and cutting her up. He's only able to do that if he knew what he was doing, knew how he wanted to do it. This only happens with the intent to kill. Consider what Dr. Carson today and the medical examiner talked about, the amount of work done to break her bones and cut up her limbs and cut off her head. The efforts to cover this up were extraordinary and they were horrific. Consider the cutting off of her breast. Her right breast, that's not something you do unless you have a desire to do it. It doesn't facilitate getting rid of the body. It takes additional time. He did it because he wanted to do it. All the stab wounds near her. her breast and on her torso. That was done out of a sick desire to do harm to her. That's the only reason that is done. Cutting off the breast, dismembering limbs, beheading her. Those acts, simply put, ladies and gentlemen, are the acts of a killer. They are not the acts of someone who is acting on impulse in a moment or acting on emotion. Who does this? What kind of person cuts someone's head off? A killer who's trying to get away with killing. His actions afterwards betray any innocence. That's how the evidence shows that what Maxwell Anderson did to Sade Robinson was an intentional homicide. There is no question behind the intent, and there's no question about the person responsible for doing it. The killer is him. He's the last person to be with her, the last one texting her, the last one whose residence she was at, the last one who had her car, the last one who had her phone, the last one who was with her. The one who burned her car. He did everything he could to try to get away with it. He tried to cover up. He tried to fool the police. He's trying to fool all of you, but he doesn't get to do that. You've all seen the evidence. It's time that you let the evidence speak the truth and you find him guilty.
Defense?
Damn, did they just applause? Oh, Don. Did they just applaud? I don't think we see that often. We don't see applause. That's crazy. What up, Chan, my black is golden? What up, Jazzy T? I see you, family. What up, though? What up, Joni 4? I see you. Appreciate y'all joining, family. What up? So before we get to this square dude right here trying to get up and defend this murder like he's crazy, I mean, job or whatever, like, nigga, you just stupid. You stupid too. That stupid one is stupid too. I usually don't even care about calling people stupid, but they stupid. That's the definition of stupid right there. When you think of stupid, that's what I want y'all to think about. These two dumb fucks right here. But anyway, let's keep it rolling. Before we get to that, let's get to the burnt car. Let's get to the burnt car now. All right.
At least some sort of front end damage to that vehicle.
Yes.
Exhibit 62, what's that?
That is an overall view of the driver's side rear back seat, showing the fleece blanket.
Okay, so the green and blue item here, this is a blanket.
Yes.
What is the yellow material there?
I believe that's part of the seat cushion.
Exhibit number 63.
It's an overall of the trunk view.
And I'm just going to have you step down off the stand and approach that. And if you could show us where, you said there was a jacket that was recovered, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was a black puffy winter jacket. What else can you see in that photo that you recovered?
Can you bring the microphone as far over as you can as well? Thank you.
I believe the jeans were underneath the jacket in this.
Okay. What about Exhibit 64? Can you describe what's depicted in that photo?
The winter jacket.
Can you point to that? What else is, just in general, if you can recall, what else was in there? There are lots of things in that photo.
There's a shovel here. That was in the trunk of the vehicle.
Okay. What about that item that I'm pointing to here? What does that appear to be?
Windshield wiper.
Actually, what about this item here?
Oh, that is a bed sheet.
And did you recover that?
I did.
How about Exhibit 65?
I believe this is a photo behind the front driver's seat, and the purse was in the lower area here.
Showing you Exhibit 66. What is that?
It's a black and brown purse that was located behind the front driver's seat on the floor.
Were there items that were contained in that purse that you were able to recover?
Yes.
Such as?
There was a laptop, an iPad, and some miscellaneous items. I believe there's another photo.
Showing you Exhibit number 67.
Yeah, those were some of the contents from inside of the bag.
Exhibit 68.
Additional items from inside of the bag.
Do you know what these items are?
I believe there's going to be another photo. There's paperwork with Sade Robinson's name on it.
Showing you Exhibit 69. Is that the paperwork?
It's a closer view, yes.
Exhibit number 70.
This was an apron that was located inside of the trunk with Sade's name tag on it from the Wisconsin Club.
It looks like there's some cash, like loose bills of U.S. currency.
Yes.
But Exhibit 71.
These were all of the items from that purse, all laid out.
Okay, can you describe some of the other items there?
Let's see. So there's 2 notebooks, a comb, there's 2 photos, Polaroid photos, miscellaneous paperwork, a planner.
Markers too?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked Exhibit number 72. What is that?
That is an overall of the front driver's seat.
Exhibit 73.
This is a measurement that we took from the gas pedal of the vehicle to the front seat of the driver's seat.
Okay, and why did you do that?
To show the distance, because it seemed awfully far for an individual of her statute.
Okay, so at this point you were familiar with who Sade Robinson was, correct?
Yes.
Including some of her demographic information, such as height. Were you familiar with what she looked like?
Not before this search. No.
Okay. Showing you Exhibit number 74. What is that?
These are clothing items that were recovered from the trunk of the vehicle.
Okay, describe what we're looking at here.
There's a black, that outer winter puffy style jacket, light ripped jeans, tan underwear, and 2 pair of white tennis shoes.
The one tennis shoe is burned.
Yes.
The jeans and underwear, were they like that when you recovered them?
Yes.
So you did not place them like that?
No.
Is there anything upon looking at that strikes you as unusual?
I think looking at how these were recovered, it could be consistent with somebody assisting in the removal.
How about Exhibit number 75?
Those are a close-up of the white tennis shoes that were recovered from the trunk.
Exhibit 76?
A closer image of the light wash jeans and the underwear.
77?
A closer image of the black winter style jacket.
What is 78?
This is an overall of the interior components that were removed from the car.
From what part of the car?
All of the interior of the car.
So not the trunk, the passenger compartment?
Yes.
And was one of those items depicted in Exhibit 79?
Yes, this was recovered in melted debris that we had to pry out of.
Okay, and what is that?
We believe that is the rear part of a phone where your camera is. It's the 3 camera spots on iPhones. Consistent with an iPhone 15.
And you're familiar with that?
Yes.
But Exhibit number 80?
That is an overall of the front passenger compartment.
And I should ask, that's the only part of a phone that you recovered in the car that was identifiable as something on a phone?
Correct.
Exhibit number 81?
So this is an item that is a stuffed animal of some sort that had an odor of gasoline on it. That was on the floorboard on the passenger side of the vehicle.
And you recovered that item?
Yes.
Why?
Because it had an odor of gasoline.
Exhibit number 82.
That is an overall of the front damage on the Honda Civic.
And that doesn't appear to be fire damage, does it?
No.
Exhibit number 83.
Another overall of the damage on the front passenger quarter panel of the vehicle.
Exhibit 84.
That's a close-up of the driver's side corner panel showing the damage on the Honda Civic.
Exhibit number 85.
That is passenger side damage to the mirror, the close-up.
Exhibit number 86.
This is another image of the measurement that we took.
So driver's side again?
Driver's side seat, yep.
Are you aware of whether or not other measurements were also taken at a later time?
Yes, there was. Not by me, but there were.
Exhibit number 87.
Close-up of the measurement.
And what was the measurement, if you know?
I do not recall off the top of my head.
Exhibit 88.
And this was the measurement from the brake pedal to the front driver's seat.
And are you able to say what that was? Are you able to see?
I don't know if that's 19 inches. Okay, it shows 1 feet, 20 inches for the measurement.
You can have a seat. At some point
The
during...
absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Shout out to the Queen. Chamar Black is golden. Appreciate you for the gifted membership. Hey, Trakisha, you got gifted the membership while you was here. And got to say thank you. That's what I'm talking about. That's what's up. That's what's up. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the Queen. Chamar Black is golden. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. What up, Jazzy T? What up, Cha Diggy? What up, Late Night Bacon with Mookie? I see y'all. Appreciate you joining. Let's keep it rolling, family.
Your investigation, your portion of this investigation, the car search, were you made aware of what Sade Robinson was last seen wearing?
Yes, once I recovered the clothing, I reached out to see what she was last seen wearing.
And what did you receive in response?
I received a still image of Sade. She was walking on a boardwalk by herself, and she was wearing light wash, ripped jeans, white tennis shoes, and a black jacket, from what I could see.
I'm showing you what's been marked exhibit 240. You can identify what that is. In that photograph appear to be the jeans that you recovered?
They do.
And what about the coat?
Also appears to be the same.
And what about her shoes?
They appear to be the same.
And what about the bag?
From what you can see in the photo, it resembles a dark style bag, but yes.
Did you recover any white tops, shirts or sweaters?
No.
What up, Cha Diggy? I see you, family. Appreciate you joining.
The crime lab individuals who were taking DNA swabs, did you see them take?
Population of unrelated people is not more frequent than 1 in 1 quadrillion.
Single source female profile, so this one you're not doing the hypothetical analysis?
That's correct. This is a different type of calculation.
And it's consistent with Sade?
It is.
Let's move on to BF9, the cutting from the stain on the inside left bottom of that sweatshirt or jacket.
That is a 2-person mixture.
What did you find?
When compared with Maxwell Anderson, it's at least a quadrillion times to see that DNA profile if it's a mixture of DNA from Maxwell Anderson and an unknown person than from 2 unknown individuals.
How about Sade?
It is at least 121 million times more likely to observe that profile if it's a mixture resulting from 2 unknown individuals than from Sade Robinson and an unknown person.
So where would those two fall on the inclusion-exclusion scale, if you will?
Maxwell Anderson falls in the very strong support for inclusion. Sade Robinson falls in very strong support for exclusion.
Move on to BF10, the cutting from stain on the left side chest pocket.
That is a 2-person mixture also.
What is the result?
Compared with Maxwell Anderson, it's at least a quadrillion times more likely to observe that DNA profile if it's a mixture of Maxwell Anderson and an unknown person than from 2 unknown individuals.
And Sade?
Her statistic falls into the uninformative range again.
And what range does Mr. Anderson's fall into?
Very strong support for inclusion.
Inclusion, okay. Cutting from the inside left cuff of that jacket or sweatshirt.
Also a 2-person mixture.
What'd you find?
When compared with Maxwell Anderson, it's at least a quadrillion times more likely to observe that profile if it's a mixture of DNA from Maxwell Anderson and an unknown person than from 2 unknown individuals.
Where does that fall?
A very strong support for inclusion.
How about Sade?
She's excluded.
Cutting from, actually I'm going to move on to the bottom of page 19. There are cuttings from numerous locations that revealed a single source male profile, correct?
Yes, or partial profiles.
Partial, I'm sorry.
What the hell is a quadrillion? Did he say quadrillion? Or did she say quadrillion? I don't know if I'm tripping or not. I just heard that on the back end. Did she say quadrillion? I might be tripping. But hold on, we're going to go ahead and get to the closing arguments before we continue with her, though. Appreciate y'all being here. Let's keep it rolling, family.
Well,
good afternoon, everyone. Wanted to start by telling you what the purpose of closing argument is. It's, of course, my chance to speak to you. This is my last chance to speak to you as jurors. I don't get a rebuttal. The state does, so they still have an opportunity to come up here and speak to you again. This is the only opportunity that I have, and so I just wanted you to be aware of that. When I got up here in opening, it feels like ages ago now, it was 2 weeks ago when I stood up here and talked to all of you, and you've listened to a lot of testimony. I asked you to keep an open mind and to study the evidence closely. And I'm going to make the same request of you here today, tomorrow, when you deliberate, to study the evidence closely. You've been given a mountain of materials, and the judge has read a lot of instructions to you. And I want to talk a little bit about those instructions because as you hear Judge Crivello reading the instructions, it sort of goes on, but you're going to be given copies of those to take.
All right, Trakisha. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Much love, much love. See you next time.
Have a good night. Have a good night.
Back with you to
Motherfucking good ass night.
study closely and examine. And I ask that you look at those closely and pay careful attention to everything you heard in this case. The most important principle in the criminal justice system is the idea that a person can only be convicted if the district attorney's office has proven a case beyond a reasonable doubt. That principle has been with us for hundreds of years since the country was founded. The reason why that principle is so important is because it's crucial that when somebody is charged with the most serious of crimes, that we have absolute proof beyond a reasonable doubt by the district attorney's office, that when they decide to bring such serious charges against a person, that you are convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that, in fact, Mr. Anderson committed each one of these crimes. When Judge Crivello spoke to you, she talked about what reasonable doubt means. Reasonable doubt means a doubt based upon reason and common sense. It is a doubt for which a reason can be given, arising from a fair and rational consideration of the evidence or lack of evidence. So you can look at evidence as well as lack of evidence. It means such a doubt that would cause a person of ordinary prudence, meaning any of us, to pause or hesitate when called upon to act in the most important affairs of life. And of course, this is the most important affairs of life because you are deciding Mr. Anderson's guilt on, or whether he's not guilty on each of the counts. Another important instruction that the judge had read is that each verdict, each count in this case, requires a separate analysis. And when I listened to the state's closing, I heard a lot about what their theory is with respect to intentional acts that they believe were committed after Sade passed away. I heard a lot about intentional acts that that Mr. Vance Krzan talked about in opening and again here in closing. But I want to emphasize that when you go back to the jury room and you evaluate the evidence, you are required to evaluate each count separately. And what the judge told you, what Judge Crivello said when she read the instructions a little bit ago, is that your verdict for the crime charged in one count must not affect your verdict on any other count. Why is that important? It's important because this is a highly emotional case, obviously. We all know that. We all know that it's that type of case. And we'll just call a spade a spade. I mean, we have a victim's family sitting right here. We just heard them applause when the state finished their argument. I don't criticize them at all, what they're going through. It's not at all what I'm here to do. I can't even imagine it. Can't imagine it. But here's how the system works. We get 12 jurors together. We have 15 of you here, and you've been amazing jurors, all of you, here on time, ready to go, listen to everything. And what we try to do when we're representing somebody and representing Mr. Anderson is we try to pay attention to what's happening in court, but also all of you, because your decision is what really matters. It's not what Mr. Vance Krzan says. It's not what I say. It's really what all of you say once you go back in that jury room and carefully consider the evidence or lack of evidence. And it's important to evaluate each one of these counts separately. And the judge told you, as hard as that can be in cases like this, to try to check your emotions at the door. I know it's hard. I don't think any of us envy any of aspect of what our jobs are. We all have a job to do. The most important job is yours, and it's to check your emotion at the door, put aside passion, put aside prejudice, and look at the case from the evidence. That's all I ask you to do. And on each count, render a separate verdict, unanimously. All of you agree. And there's a number of things I could say to you. The idea here is that each side is given 45 minutes. I don't know if I need 45 minutes when you've sat here and heard everything the same way I've heard everything, and the same way the state has heard everything. We try to look at the jurors to see, some people are taking lots of notes, some people are taking less notes, and at the end of the day, really it's just what you remember and what you ask to see. That's what counts. And you can ask to see anything. You can make a request when you go back there of the judge to view videos again, if that's something that you'd like to do, or look at DNA reports or look at photographs. You can make those requests, and I would encourage you to do so. And so I'm going to touch on some of the points that I think are important. You may agree with me, disagree with me, but this is my chance to present to you what I think are the important points in Max's defense. We do have separate crimes that are charged here. Obviously, if we broke them into sort of broad categories, there's the state's theory that Max intended to kill Sade Robinson. So that seems to be the glaring charge, of course, that is here. We also have charges of dismemberment, hiding a corpse, and arson of a vehicle. I'm not going to go through each of the elements of every one of these crimes with all of you, because that will go back with you to the jury room, and you can read those and decide. But we start with the fact that everything the state showed you in this case was that Max had met Sade. You saw the videos that were just played again in closing. The two of them met each other, and the two of them went out in public. They texted, they made arrangements to go out, and they went to places. You watched the videos, they went to places that Max is known. Places where he was interacting in a friendly way with bartenders, where people were talking to him on a first name basis, where he's shaking hands with people, where he's having normal drinks, normal behavior. They go to Twisted Fisherman, they spend time there together. There's nothing in the videos that you've seen that suggests that Max is planning to do anything like an intentional homicide. There's nothing in the text messages that even comes close to suggesting that. Because of course, intent does have to be formed at some point, as they just said, and as the judge told you, before a person passes away. Nothing about the Twisted Fisherman video shows for 1 minute an intent to kill. And the same is true with Dukes. They go there, they're sitting at the edge of the bar, they're playing beer pong with another couple that shows up. Again, you can see, even if you want to watch the video again, you can see when Max leaves, he's saying goodbye to people that know him. Obviously, he used to work at Twisted Fisherman, we know, because he had to pick up his W-2 there. He's known at Dukes. So this is not any evidence at all that Max intended to kill Sade. And like many people do, they went out after drinking and they went back to his house. We asked you in jury selection, all of you, we asked the question of whether or not you would insist that a defendant testify. The defendant has a constitutional right not to. That's a hard principle for some people to embrace. You don't have to testify. The system doesn't require that. It's human nature. It's to want to hear sometimes, you know, like we say to our children sometimes, what did you do? What happened? Give me the side of your story. But that's how we handle things in our personal lives, and not what is required here in court. And I am just going to address the elephant in the room. Max didn't testify, right? We all saw that. And maybe some of you were thinking to yourselves that you wanted to hear from him. Maybe all of you were thinking that. Certainly, members of the public might have been thinking that. But he's not required to do that. The judge told you that. He's not required to give any explanation or prove his innocence. The system does not ever require a defendant to prove their innocence. It requires the state to prove that he intentionally killed her. I didn't see any evidence of intent when I sat through this trial. The state points out things that they say Mr. Anderson did after the fact, which would demonstrate, if he had done it, an intent to commit other crimes, mutilation of a corpse. But I didn't see anything, and I listened carefully, and I know all of you did too, that shows any intent to kill. And that's how it started, and now there's a reckless homicide charge you're supposed to consider as well, but I didn't see or hear any testimony about Mr. Anderson acting recklessly towards Sade at all. And those elements have to be proven. It has to be proven. In words, as the jury instruction said, words, actions, behavior before the event. Well, what are they pointing to? I'm asking that question. What are they pointing to? They're pointing to things afterwards that they say Mr. Anderson did, which they want you to bootstrap into a conviction on an intentional homicide. But that's not what the law says you're supposed to do. The law says you're supposed to look at each count separately. The law says that a defendant doesn't have to prove his innocence. The law says that they have to prove intent or recklessness beyond a reasonable doubt. The highest possible burden you could imagine. Not just that we think he might have done it, or last person with her could have done it, but that he intended to do it, or that he did it recklessly. And I don't know, based on this record, candidly, how she died. I don't know that any of us do. The medical examiner doesn't. Medical examiner is unable to tell us that answer. It's their job. Certainly the anthropologist we heard from doesn't know. And I talked about this with all of you in opening, that they have the burden to prove everything beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they don't, we don't have to put on any evidence. We don't have to put Max on the stand. We don't have to call witnesses to say A, B, and C. And I told you in opening, we weren't going to dispute, I forget what I said exactly, but I probably said we won't dispute 90+% of the case, because we don't. Everything Mr. Vance Curzan just showed you about the vehicle traveling to these locations, we dispute the big things, that it's Mr. Anderson intending to kill her or recklessly kill her. We dispute that he committed the other crimes, but the fact that they went on a date, the fact that they were together, the fact that they were friendly with each other, they drank, no dispute. The vehicle being shown on camera all over the place, the locations it went, no dispute. What we do dispute are a number of important points that I don't think have been proven. You never once see Max getting into this Honda Civic, nor do you see him getting out of the Honda Civic. You don't see him get in and you don't see him get out. And there was a video that was played very early on in the trial that all of you will remember because it was day 1 or day 2, but there was a video of the Honda Civic when it is in flames, basically on Lisbon Avenue, if we all remember that. And there's 2 women on the street who are on tape pointing in that direction. And you can obviously see that Max is in that area. I told you in opening, sometimes people can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't have to prove, I have no burden to prove why Max was in that area. That is burden shifting, is not required. They have to prove that he was the one that exited the driver's door of that car and lit it on fire. They did not call either of those women in their case. They could have. They could have chosen to call either of those 2 women on the street and put them on the stand and say, is that the guy who lit the car or is that the guy walking near the car? Big difference. They could have asked him any question they wanted. Of course, we would have been able to ask questions too, but they could have put her name as Laura Dyer. You heard that through other witnesses. They could have put Laura Dyer on the stand and asked her, who were you pointing to? What were you seeing? What did you observe in the minutes leading up to that? Who got out of the car? What side did they get out of, ma'am? What side did they get out of? If they got out of the car, how did they light the car on fire? They could have asked all of those questions and answered all of those questions for you. And we know for sure that she was shown a photo array because I asked one of the detectives about the photo array procedure. We know for sure it was shown, and they didn't introduce it. I'm not here to hide a thing. Study it all. Study every piece of evidence that they gave you in this case. But they didn't call Laura Dyer, who I would argue would be the one witness you would call in your case if you wanted to prove that Max lit that car on fire, instead of being near it. And if we work from there forward, if we look at his behavior afterwards, Max's behavior, it's Max.
The evidence is going to show that anything that I may have said, they exacerbated it.
His behavior afterwards, they haven't proven what was in his backpack. But if we look at his behavior afterwards, he is not, as they just said, concealing his identity. Now, if you lit a car on fire, there's 4 ways you can go: north, south, east, or west. And I would argue that the last direction you would go is right down to Lisbon Avenue if you did that, onto a public street with cars whizzing by and buses everywhere and getting on a public bus. Actually, if you looked at the video, there's an alley right there. The more logical way to go is just dart up through that alley, get away, duck through houses and backyards and run. Max is walking. But look at his shoes, because their theory that they've given you in this case is that Max, prior to this, First of all, their theory is he killed her in his house without Pete Warbington hearing a thing, who's right below him. No struggle, no stabbing, no nothing, no help, nothing. But their theory is he killed her there, but then in the rainy day, pouring rain for days, muddy path down to Warnemont Beach, their theory is that Max did all of that. Why on earth, when he is walking on Lisbon Avenue, and you can watch the videos, look at the shoes. They're pure white soles. At least the sides, even the detectives testified to that. His shoes are white. Somebody who has been trudging through the mud, dispersing body parts in Warnemont Park in the pouring rain, in the bad conditions, does not have white shoes. No way. Muddy shoes, for sure. Watch the whole bus video. He doesn't, as they said, he doesn't pull out a phone or he sits there the whole time. Shoes are white. That is inconsistent with somebody having been at Warnemont Beach earlier and doing all these things just a few hours earlier that they say. The sweatshirt that was located in the trash can. We had some testimony a few days about that. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if it was planted. I don't know how that sweatshirt got in that trash can. But I know that if somebody was trying to destroy evidence, they could burn it right in the backyard. There's a burn pit right there, and they would be unlikely to ditch it right in the alley 2 houses down from them. Seems like a really unlikely thing to do. But what you didn't hear about the sweatshirt, and we know it's found on April 12th. After Max has been arrested, he was arrested on April 4th. So 8 days later, they find this sweatshirt. And how on earth is a detective, I think it was Lopez, how on earth is a detective on April 8th, he told you his job was to go down this alley to look in the trash cans. Remember, he was going to go look for clothes or evidence. If you were going down an alley to look for clothes or evidence, and he's now telling you, I remember seeing a sweatshirt in a trash can, but I just left it there. His job was to look for a sweatshirt or any clothes. I just find it really hard to believe. I think he's not being honest when he says that. I find it really hard to believe that if you found a sweatshirt in a trash can when that was your job to go the alley behind Max's home, you would grab it. And the trash came through on April 8th. Max is in jail. And there is none of Sade's blood on that sweatshirt. We were just told, again, he's wearing that sweatshirt supposedly when he dismembered a human corpse. The amount of blood and bodily fluid that would require, look at the video of him on the bus. If you can see a speck, there's no gloves on him. There are gloves at Warnemont Beach, which exclude him. But there's no blood on him at all. There's nothing on his hands. He's not wearing gloves. Max's DNA is also not on the driver's door of Sade's car, which is lit on fire, but her DNA is. So if their theory is that the DNA on the car driver's door was washed off by the fire department, why is Sade's DNA there? And his isn't. It's because he didn't close the driver's door. It was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And they swabbed everything. It was really boring. Some aspects of the trial were really boring for all of us because you had to sit here and watch grainy videos of what a detective thinks they see upstairs, and you have to listen to us on our end bore you, unfortunately, at times by going through all of the DNA evidence. But for crying out loud, this was the most swabbed home I've ever seen in my life. Swabbed everything. Everything. Ask for the report. None of Sade's blood is anywhere in that home. But she's been stabbed. He doesn't have any blood on him at all for a stabbing. And they don't have any weapon that they can connect to him that he ever used for this stabbing. Or however she died, they don't know. But they do know for sure the DNA excludes him. It excludes him because her blood isn't in his home. Her DNA isn't anywhere in there. There's no smell of bleach. There's no indication he cleaned up. I would argue this does not look like a cleaned up place at all. Look at the photos. And there was a hair found on a proximal bone, one of Sade's bones, the hair that was found, and they thought for sure that's going to be Max's hair. We have a hair on a bone. I guarantee that's why they tested it. And look at the report. The hair on one of Sade's bones excluded him. Wasn't his. The video of the house, there's look at the pictures if you want to. It's grainy, it's poor quality. I also heard Rachel Smith said she spent 100 hours or whatever she said about the quantity of hours looking at video. The reality about the video is, again, we don't dispute that Max and Sade went back to his house. We don't dispute that they were there. Which silhouette is what or what it shows, your guess is as good as mine. I know that the FBI could look at it if they wanted to, and was never asked of them to do that. They offer a witness with no specialized training in an effort to convict Max of homicide to say, well, I saw this silhouette and that silhouette, but they didn't do any height analysis. They didn't ask the FBI to be involved, and it doesn't show anything that we don't already agree happened. They were back together. But that front window is piled full of plants and other debris and miscellaneous things in there, so it's unlikely that there's really a whole lot of interaction you can truly see. It's probably dogs run around. I don't think Max is so sophisticated of a guy. I'm representing him. We heard from Pete Warbington. I don't know that Max is the most sophisticated guy out here. He's a smart guy, but he's working 3 days a week. He's a bartender. And Pete Warbington says, I complain about a hydraulic arm. He won't fix it. And Max doesn't like hearing that he's a bad landlord. I know. But the reality is that he's not a highly sophisticated guy where they introduced all sorts of evidence of his planning and research on wanting to kill someone. 30-some years living in the area, working for a decade as a bartender, well-known throughout the city. They didn't introduce one weird thing about him. No psychological profile evidence to show you that he fits the pattern of someone who's going to just decide, I'm going to kill someone tonight after a date where I went everywhere that everybody knows me, and I've never researched it, and I've never looked into it, nor have I even so much as looked at how to dispose of a body or remove body parts, which you can only imagine what kind of feat that is. Use your common knowledge of even examples you can think of cooking about how hard it might be at Thanksgiving to remove a turkey leg, let alone a human. No research on it, no planning on it at all. Again, that's because he didn't have any such plan to do anything like that. It's not that secret of a beach either, if I can just say that. I mean, a few hours after someone is down there in the rain and the horrible conditions, there's 2 kids there a few hours later in that same spot, right? They're there. They find a bone or a leg. So it's not that secret. It's Warnemont Park. It's a public park, 18-hole golf course. Everybody in the community is familiar with that area. Officer DeSmet testified, very familiar with the park. People go there all the time. We have 2 youngsters there right away a few hours later finding human remains. So not exactly a
Your Honor, I apologize
secret.
for interrupting the state earlier, but the state can talk the ears off a donkey. This continued filibustering has got to
area that
stop.
nobody's ever heard of before. What is Max's behavior afterwards? A lot of times in our human affairs, and state has told you, use your common sense. The reason they keep saying common sense, and again, I didn't tell you not to use common sense. I talked about this in opening. Go ahead and use it. Use it galore. But also, please look at the evidence. You have to do more than just base things on this expression, common sense, okay? Look at the evidence. We do know that somebody who committed a crime like this, who had done something like this, when they haven't, would be highly likely to change something about their life. He didn't do any such thing. He continued to go about his day-to-day affairs. You heard that he went to work at Dugout 54 the next morning, and his phone died, not turned off intentionally. It died during the hours that one would be asleep. And he went to Dugout 54, and he worked at Dugout 54, which was his job the next day. No issue. You didn't hear from one person who said that suddenly his behavior was different or that he started acting strange. He continued to work, stay in the area, didn't cut his hair, didn't change his appearance, didn't have a whole pile of cash in his car with a passport to Mexico, none of that.
That would be the right front, the right left side, front.
Going about his day-to-day affairs. That's because he's innocent. And the police are the ones who make a decision on what to collect and what not to collect. And they give you that evidence, and then you decide whether it is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. They could have asked for more footage if they wanted to see what was going on the side of Max's house in the days after, or the alley in the days after. Does he ditch a sweatshirt in a trash can? But they chose not to, because they zeroed in on him, they zeroed in on a time frame, and that was all they needed to do. I know that when the evidence shows that when Sade's car left Max's house, and you never see him driving that car, when it left that house, and we know things can happen in an alley, when the car left that home, it went straight to Sade Robinson's apartment building. I never said it went there, to be clear. I never said she went in there. I'm just saying, what are the odds that with no evidence he even knew where she lived, that Civic goes from his home right past the building she lives in. A hell of a coincidence. I think it's very likely that perhaps something happened to her in the alley and perhaps she was directing them where to go. I don't know, but I do know maybe it was a stalker. But whoever did it obviously had an idea where she lived because they went right from point A to point B.
That's stupid, obviously, because it was your client. That's why. Talk about the victim. What up, Miss DB? I see you. I appreciate you joining the family.
I think the reason that the state spent such little time talking about the DNA evidence for you is because they know how powerful it is for the defense case. But we don't have to prove that DNA proves prove his innocence. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he's guilty of each of these crimes, and he intended to kill her. Now they're saying recklessly, but either one, whichever one they're saying. They had to form that intent or that reckless decision before. There's no evidence, by the way, of any reckless behavior at all that they've shown you on video, that they've shown in his house, that they've shown at all. But the reason why they spend so little time on DNA and they sort of brushed past that, and yet they'll spend days and days and days going through monotonous video of things we don't dispute, is because they know that the DNA evidence is powerful for us. And ask that you look at the evidence closely. That's all I can do. I turn Max over to you. It's your decision. You have to look at each count carefully, and I'm convinced you'll conclude that the state hasn't met its burden of proof on each count. Thank you.
State, any rebuttal?
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen,
All right. We got a little bit more before we get into the redirect. Let's just get right into it. Appreciate y'all, family. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend. Let's keep it rolling. Oh, okay, here we go.
And what are those locations?
Those are the right side chest pocket, the inside right bottom, the inside back waistband. On no blood, the tests were negative.
Okay.
Those were both hairs, AS1 and AS2. I didn't examine them, another analyst did.
But you know the conclusion was that Max Anderson was excluded, correct?
I'm going to object for hearsay, move to strike.
Any response?
It's in her report.
State?
The report's admitted.
Yeah, that's fine, but okay, fine.
Withdraw the objection?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Maxwell Anderson was excluded on both of those hairs.
Okay. And Sade Robinson was included, right?
Yes, both of those are single source female profiles that are consistent with Sade Robinson.
Okay. And then latex gloves. You tested a variety of those, correct?
Yes.
There was a rock that it looked like they had blood on it, but you didn't examine that?
Right. Again, I had another analyst looked at that and she did not examine the rock, just the gloves.
Is there any reason why she didn't examine the rock?
Speculation.
If you have to speculate, do you know the answer to that? Or do you have to speculate to answer that?
Yeah, probably.
All right, then I do object.
Okay, then at this point, I will sustain the objection. Next question, please.
And then this blanket, BE. Do you remember the blanket?
Yes, again, I did not examine that, but it was submitted and examined by another analyst.
And you concluded the findings in your report, right?
Right, because I did the DNA analysis of the data and the comparisons.
Okay, and do you recall what that blanket looked like? Did you ever see it?
I saw a photo of it.
And what did it look like?
It had a picture of Sade Robinson on it.
Okay, and then the sweatshirt jacket, BF, we saw that, correct?
Yes.
That's that gray jacket, whatever you want on it.
Yes.
Whatever, dark colored jacket. And then there's multiple hairs that are located in the sweatshirt jacket, right?
Yes.
And then BI is swabs from a knife handle, right?
Yes.
BJ swabs from a knife blade?
Yes.
And are these a pocket knife?
I don't know for sure because we got the swabs in.
Okay. But swabs from top of a lighter, side of a lighter, right?
Yes.
Side of a keychain light, right?
Yes.
And then multiple swabs, 3 different swabs from boxes of matches, right?
Yes.
And and your lab gets the actual, so those are just swabs. Someone else takes these swabs, sends them to the lab, right?
Yes, those came in as swabs from those items.
Okay, now I want to just move down to screening. So screening, and you said blood was identified on different items, right?
Yes.
Those latex gloves that I think you described as blood stains, right?
Yes.
Fitted sheets, Pillowcase from bed, blood, right?
Yes.
Presumptive testing for blood was positive on these 3 items, right?
Yes, so blood was not confirmed as being there, but the presumptive test indicated it could be blood.
Okay, and now I want to focus on this blood was not detected on, okay? And now can you scroll down that page? So the bathtub area, I think we talked about that up there. There's no blood at all found on any of the swabs of the bathroom.
It was, yes, it was not detected on those swabs.
This plaid jacket that we held up, no blood on there.
No blood, the tests were negative.
Okay, and the knife handle and knife blade that was swabbed, there's no blood on it, right?
That's correct.
These 13 stains on this is the dark sweatshirt, correct?
Yes.
You took 13 different samples from that sweatshirt.
Well, 13 different stains were tested for the possible presence of blood.
And absolutely none of them had blood on them.
They were negative.
The blanket that you said had Sade's face on it, correct?
Yes.
No blood on that either.
No.
And you ran the test, there's no blood.
Another analyst ran the test, but yes, her results showed that they were negative.
Okay. And so I want to talk about the analysis that was done on those gloves. So you said that, I want to go back to the uninformative one. I think this is going to be page, sorry. It's going to be, I think it starts on page 15. It says swab some blood stain of first latex glove and third glove. Both Maxwell Anderson and Sade are excluded, right?
Item AT2A?
AT1A, AT1B, AT1C.
Yes, they're both excluded.
Okay, and sorry, you're right. I did say I wanted to talk about the uninformative one, and that's on page 16. So that's AT1D, right?
Yes.
So 3-person mixture, at least one of them is male, right?
Yes.
And you said Maxwell Anderson is very strong support for exclusion, right?
Yes, he is.
5.60 times 10 to the negative 7.
Yes, so it's at least 1 million times more likely to see that profile if he's not included as a contributor than if he is.
So 1 in a million, right?
Well, that's the likelihood ratio. It's not an odds. It's just that's what the ratio of the probabilities are between the two statements.
Okay, and then Sade Robinson, 3.22 times 10 to the negative 3rd.
Yes.
What's that statistical value?
I would have to do a calculation because it's the reciprocal.
Okay,
So
and
it's less than 1,000.
Okay, so less than 1,000 versus less than 1 million.
Yes.
Okay, there's a big difference in those calculations, right?
Right. The uninformative range goes from 1 to 1,000 for inclusion and 1 to 1,000 towards exclusion, and that's where the cutoff is.
Okay. And so if we could just go to page 18. If we're looking on page 18, or actually look at page 19, BF 16.
Yes.
Cutting from inside left cuff of sweatshirt jacket, BF 16. That again is that dark colored sweatshirt, right?
Yes.
You analyzed that and you said Sade Robinson is excluded, correct?
She is.
Your words below that, the excluded, all caps, right?
Yes.
It says it is not possible for this observed DNA profile to result.
From Sade Robinson and an unknown person. Yes.
So 0% chance that she's a possible contributor.
There is the likelihood ratio is 0, so it is an exclusion.
Okay.
Bruh.
The gatekeeper.
Okay, and I want to go to page 20.
How about no, Scotty, don't. That's enough of you. That's enough of him for the night. We almost up out of here, family. We got a little bit more to go. And stay tuned for the Rock Solid. We got a Rock Solid video dropping after this. And also a preview of a new song at the end of the Rock Solid video. So y'all stay tuned. This is the closing arguments of the prosecutor.
The reason Maxwell Anderson went to work the next day and didn't cut his hair or do any of that stuff is because he thought he got away with it. Because he did it alone. He did it in the middle of the night. So leaving town, doing that stuff, that brings attention to yourself. That's also why he sends that text message to her the next morning. Hey, morning, how's work going? He's trying to cover up. He thought he was going to get away with it. That's the whole point. Because everything he did the night of this incident was done in the middle of the night in a secluded place that he knew was secluded, that he took her to and cut her up. He thought he got away with it.
Well,
let's talk about
isn't this
blood.
a surprise?
You saw the images of her on that couch. She's out of it. She is gone. Let's talk about and cut her up. He thought he got away with it. Let's talk about blood. You saw the images of her on that couch. She's out of it. She is gone. There's no blood in there. You heard from the medical examiner how people can die without blood. Strangulation, suffocation. It's no coincidence that she is face down in his cushions in those. That she is so out of it that he's able to lift her shirt up and grab her breast and yank her pants off without her putting up a struggle. We know as well that the dismemberment, remember the medical examiner talking about the vital reactions, that there were no vital reactions at the areas of amputation. That means no bleeding, because she was dead when it happened. And he's doing it down at the lakefront on the shores of a lake on a rainy night. And he talks about no mud, no blood on the shoes or anything like that. He's got this massive backpack with him that he gets rid of, that has never been found. Why? If that backpack is something that's important enough for you to go out in the middle of the night with, why is it gone? Because he got rid of it. He got rid of it to cover up the crime. The hoodie, why is it in someone else's dumpster? Why is the hoodie not a hoodie you were wearing while on the date, but a hoodie you're driving around in the middle of the night with? Why is it in a dumpster 2 houses down? Why is her DNA on it? It's because he's the one driving her car around, taking her body to Warnemont Park. No intent to kill? What about all the horrible, disgusting, gruesome things that he did to her body? That shows intent to kill. He brought up this hair on the proximal bone, and his argument was Max was excluded from that hair. Do you remember whose hair that was? It was Sade's hair. He failed to mention that part just now. Just like he failed to bring up the latex gloves he brought up in his opening and said, certainly these gloves played a role in this crime. That was a quote. What a joke. Those gloves had nothing to do with this crime. Nothing. The blood on those gloves was neither Max nor Sade's. It's located a quarter mile south of where this occurred. A week later, a smoke screen. Nothing to do with this crime. Maxwell Anderson was not walking away from the Honda Civic because he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Why on earth is he walking around behind an abandoned building where the woman who he was on a date with the night before his car is getting set into flames and he's just casually walking away? And you did hear from the woman who saw him do it. You heard her on the video. You saw her point to him and say, he did it. Call the fire department. What's that all about? It's because he's the one who lit the car on fire. to cover up all of this and calmly walk away because he's trying to get away. He's trying not to draw attention to himself. Asking you to completely speculate that something happened to her in the alley. Well, let me ask you this. How does she get in the alley if she's passed out of it, incapacitated on his couch? How would she have even gotten there? He's asking you to speculate. She's just instructed you, you can't speculate. You are not to speculate. That's what he wants you to do. That's what he wants you to do to find Maxwell Anderson not guilty, but you can't. You follow the evidence. Not a single piece of evidence points to anybody else. Everything at every single turn, even when police tried to focus on other things, like the latex glove, did it lead anywhere else except back to him? The broken pieces of car at the gate just happened to match the Honda that he's walking away from as it lights on fire. The beach where she is cut up, it's his beach. It's his place. Every single lead, every single thing the investigators did led back to Maxwell Anderson, and it is because Maxwell Anderson is the killer. He is responsible, so find him guilty.
Now, members of the jury, the duties of counsel in the court have been performed. The case has been argued by counsel. I've instructed you regarding the rules of law which should govern you in your deliberations. The time has now come when the great burden of reaching a just, fair, and conscientious decision of the case is to be thrown wholly.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 51. Should come up on the screen momentarily. What are we looking at?
That was the blue Honda Civic that we got dispatched to for the vehicle fire.
I should have asked a better question. This is a body cam, right?
Yes.
Okay, whose body cam?
That would be my personal body camera.
Hey, that is a fact. That's crazy. They clapped again. I was tripping off that. Hell no.
Where I have this Exhibit 51 queued up, you're looking at the Honda Civic, right? And the street that would be beyond that building is what?
That would be West Lisbon Avenue.
So you're essentially facing south?
Yes, sir.
Is this your body cam from when you were there that day?
Yes, sir.
I'd move Exhibit 51 in and ask to publish about 2.5 minutes of it.
No objection.
It's received and go ahead.
Sorry, 3.5. When I start playing this video, there's not going to be audio, correct?
No.
Why is that?
For the first 30 seconds, when we turn on our Axon body cameras, it goes back about approximately 30 seconds to where no audio is recorded during it, just how our Axon equipped cameras are run in our Milwaukee Police Department.
You hit record, but your camera actually picks up 30 seconds prior.
Exactly.
All right, thanks.
Wait a minute. Didn't he say the audio don't start? Oh, no. Okay. It starts 30 minutes before the audio. My bad. I remember. My fault.
Paused at 110. That first portion of the video, what were you doing?
Essentially looking over the vehicle, just seeing what kind of fire damage is done to the vehicle, And then initially when I looked at the front plane of glass for the front window, that's initially where I first checked vehicles for their VIN number. And then the second time when I went to the inside of the door panel is where I checked for the the VIN number. The first one is destroyed in the vehicle fire, so I got the VIN number off of the door.
The purpose of getting that information is what?
Typically, and sometimes with the Milwaukee Police Department, some vehicles have license plates that do not match the vehicle that it has on it. So I always double check and write down the VIN number of the vehicle and the license plate as well, just to make sure that they match if I run the license plate or if I run the VIN.
You did that in this instance?
Yes, sir.
And then did you run that information to try to figure out who the vehicle belonged to?
I did.
And who did the vehicle belong to?
We run it through a certification called E-Time, which is a Department of Transportation check. And when I ran the license plate and the VIN of this motor vehicle, it listed to Sade Robinson.
Did the VIN and the license plate match?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Playing at 110. Paused at 152. The last few seconds here, you seem to be checking the engine compartment fare.
Yes.
And on the left side of the screen where my mouse is circling here would be the front passenger rear view mirror, correct?
Yes.
And the condition of it right now at this point is what?
It's damaged.
Hanging down?
Yes.
Playing at 152. Paused at 225. The front hood of the car, there's a cut straight across, correct?
Yes.
The hood is cut open?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something the fire department does?
Yes.
Playing at 225.
Super weird because that engine still looks like it's in pristine condition. So. Huh? It didn't even look like, I mean that in the sense of like the fire didn't even touch the engine or any part of the front of the vehicle.
Oh, it's only in two there.
Paused at 318. At this point in the video, you're looking into the trunk.
Yes.
This item that I'm pointing out with my mouse here looks like what?
Like a bag of some sorts.
This black item here?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the first time either of you had looked into the trunk, fair?
Initially, I was the only officer between us two that had looked over the vehicle, looked and inspected it, and just made sure that everything was inside the vehicle or if any personal identifiers were in it.
Understood.
All right. I'll see if it's some more. I'll skim through that while this next one is playing, but we're going to get into her best friend talking, and I'll see if we got some more parts of that in there while this is playing. And actually, we might run a little bit longer, so we still got some more. Let's keep it rolling, family. This is her best friend, Sade Robinson. Well, one of her best friends. I don't know if it's Sade Robinson's best friend, but the girl that's on the stand said that Sade Robinson was her best friend, if that makes sense. All right, let's go.
State and spell your name for the record.
Elena Fisher, ALANAFISHER.
Good morning. How old are you?
21.
Were you friends with Sade Robinson?
Yes.
How long had you known Sade Robinson?
Since 4th grade.
Were you two the same age?
Roundabout.
Okay. What school?
Craig Montessori.
How close of a friend did you consider Sade?
My best friend.
She was your best friend?
Yes.
What sort of things would you do with her?
Talk on the phone.
Hang out with her?
When we can.
Okay. Did there come a time in April of 2024 where you contacted law enforcement because Sade was missing?
Yes.
Can you tell us how you came to find out that Sade was missing?
I was at work. I checked my phone. My cousin asked me if I was okay. I called her. And then she said that she saw something on social media about Sade went missing. And then that's how I found out.
This was around the beginning of April of 24, right?
I can't remember the exact date, but...
Sure, fair enough. Do you recall how long prior to that you had last seen Sade in person?
I can't remember.
The last time you hung out?
Can't explicitly remember.
Okay. How about the last time you two talked before that?
Pretty recently, over the phone.
On the phone?
Yes.
Do you remember what you talked about?
Not exactly.
Did you know that she had recently gone on a vacation prior to that?
Yes.
Where did you know that she went to?
If I remember, that's when she went to her Jamaica trip.
Okay. You found out about that from her directly?
Yes, we were on the phone when she was on the trip.
Had you talked to her from the time she got back from the trip up until the time she had gone missing?
Yes.
On the phone?
Yes.
When you found out, I think you said it was from your cousin that she was missing? Is that right?
Yes.
When you found out that information, what did you do?
I can't remember the exact timeline of events.
That's fine. I just want to know how you responded to learning that information.
I believe I called my partner to pick me up from work.
And did you eventually contact law enforcement?
Yes.
Did you meet with a detective and talk to him and share information with him?
Not in person.
Not in person. Did you talk to one over the phone?
I believe so.
Okay. Do you know what Life 360 is?
Yes.
What is Life 360?
It's an app for you and your family to keep track of locations, make sure that they arrive safely, all of that.
Did you have Life 360?
Yes.
Do you have Life 360 now?
Yes.
Did you share your location with Sade?
Yes.
Did Sade share her location over Life 360 with you?
Yes.
When you found out that Sade was missing, did you ever check Life 360?
Yes.
Did you also have Find My Phone app?
Yes.
Is that a similar kind of service?
Yes, just through iPhone.
So one's through iPhone, the Find My app, and then there's a whole separate app, Life 360, right?
Yes.
You shared your location with her on both?
Yes.
When you contacted law enforcement, what information did you want to provide them?
My last, with the apps, her last locations that I had on my phone.
And how did you provide that information to them? In person, on the phone, over email?
Screenshots over email.
Okay, I'm going to show you exhibit number 39. Yeah, that's fine. All right, I'm going to hand you exhibit 39. It's a stack of papers. Just looking at the very top, Do you recognize the first page?
Yes.
What is on the first page?
Me contacting the person to say, hi, I have information.
This is an outgoing email from you to a detective?
Yes.
And the detective that you emailed, what was his name?
It looks to be Detective Brian.
Okay. I'm gonna move up a little bit here. About halfway through the packet, did you send another email?
Yes.
And was it to the same detective?
Yes.
What was the content of both of these emails? What were you sending him?
Information related to her whereabouts that I had.
From those apps?
Yes.
Both of them or just one?
Well, I see the first one says Life 360 and Find My.
Okay.
Can I see the second one?
Sure.
It doesn't look like I explicitly said the two apps again.
To your recollection, what you attached to these emails, were those the screenshots you took?
Yes.
And is that what Exhibit 39 is showing? If you can page through it if you'd like to.
Yes.
Move 39 in and ask to publish.
Any objection?
No.
39's received. Go ahead.
I'm going to put these up on the TV for you, okay? Just make sure you can see this TV, all right? Okay, Elena, the first page that we're looking at here, are you able to see that on the screen next to you?
Yes.
It's the email that you sent to Detective Brian, right?
Yes.
Okay. It says, this is Elena Fisher, Sade's best friend. That's how it starts, right? All right. Can you read the rest of it?
I talked to you earlier today with my cousin. Here are some of the locations I have from my Life 360 app and my Apple Find My app. Hopefully the formatting doesn't mess up, but it should start from Monday, 6:29 p.m. until her last location on Tuesday, 4:35 a.m. Let me know if you need any close-up of locations or any other information or details. My
Can you describe that for the jury based on what you're seeing on this screenshot?
It said that Sade was in a drive from that street to another street, and that's how long it took to get there?
Okay, you said that street to another street. There's a map on the screen, right?
Yes.
And there's this sort of line here, right?
Yes.
What does that line mean to you when you're looking at this app?
That's the route she took.
Okay. And it would start at the white?
Sometimes I can't remember. It usually tells you.
You can go ahead to page 2 here. It says drive details, right?
Yes.
And where does it say that she drove to and at what times?
She drove to 1137 North Water Street at 6:30 and arrived at 6:35 p.m.
So basically a 6-minute drive, and on the previous page, that's the route she took.
Yes.
Fair to say? Even tells you the top speed, right?
Yes.
38 miles per hour?
Yes.
This would have been from April 1st, is that right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. We're going to go to the next page here. You sent a screenshot of another drive, is that right?
Yes.
A little bit of a glare. I'm going to see if I can break this. Does that make the route clearer?
Yes.
What do you know from looking at this screenshot about this drive?
That she took another drive.
At what time?
9:06.
Ending at what time?
9:28.
If we go to the next page, does it indicate where she went from and where she went to?
Yes.
Can you read what times and where?
1215 North Water Street at 9:06 to South 40th at 9:28.
Top speed was what?
69.
And if you go back to the previous page, are you familiar with the freeway systems in Milwaukee?
Not exactly.
All right. From looking at this, does it look like she used the freeway, or are you not able to tell?
I would assume she used the freeway, but
Why are you assuming that? What makes you think that?
the direct way to get from north to south side is usually that straight line.
Okay. this one kind of goes across 2 pages, so I'll actually start at the second page. What are the trip details telling us about here?
That she was at South 40th Street at 12:48 a.m. to 3335 North Gordon Place at 1:38 a.m.
And that white dot where the beginning of the trip, the map, the cutoff piece of the map here at the top of the page, that white dot I'm pointing to right here, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Right under where it says Jackson Park. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Then going back to the previous page, that end point of the trip you see is up above the word locust here. Is that right?
Yes.
So that trip ended at 1:38 a.m. And then on the next one, did Life 360 notify of another trip?
Can you repeat that question?
What I have on the screen right now is this another trip after the one we just talked about?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how life, like they wouldn't add. Do you mean like, can you repeat that?
Let's do it this way. This screenshot is one you sent, correct?
Yes.
What are we looking at here? What is this screenshot showing us? Showing you?
A trip,
All right. What time does it say that the trip began and ended?
2:01 to 2:53.
And that white dot is up here next to the word Shorewood, right?
Yes.
And then it kind of zigzags back and forth. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And then goes down towards the bottom of the page, right?
Yes.
All right. And then if we go to the next page, we don't get much information here, but that line goes through kind of where it says Mitchell International Airport. You see that, right?
Yes.
And then it goes up north again. Back to the previous page, do you see at the bottom of the screen where the trip ends?
Cudahy?
Okay. That dot at the lower right side, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
And to reiterate, Life 360 was telling you that this trip ended at 2:53 a.m. Is that what that says at the top?
Yes.
Thank you. Next screenshot. What does this screenshot mean to you?
That she was at that location from that time.
And what is the time that's on that?
3:24 a.m. to 4:35 a.m.
Okay.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Hey, much love to Joni Ford. Y'all show Joni Ford some love. Drop her some coins and some Blue Jays in the chat. Appreciate the support, family. Much love, much love. Shout out to Joni Ford. Black Butterfly gifted the membership. Hey, shout out to Black Butterfly. What up, what up, what up? Y'all show Joni Ford some love. Appreciate you, family. Shout out to you for the gifted membership.
And the next page, that would just be the location details from the previous page, right?
Yes.
This is different. This isn't showing us a trip, right?
No.
It's showing us what?
The location she was at.
Okay. The next page. This one looks a little different. What are we looking at here?
The Find My app.
So the ones we were looking at before were Life 360,
Yes.
and this is Find My.
Yes.
This icon right here, it's a photo of Sade, right?
Yes.
That's how it appears when you pull up the Find My app and search for someone.
Yes. It depends on if you have the contact photo for that person.
You have Sade's contact photo, I take it?
Yes.
And that's why it's showing up here.
Yes.
I'm gonna go to the next page. This is just a continuation off the previous page, but the bottom of your phone's screenshot, what is it indicating about her location?
That she's at the Weremont Golf Course.
And does it have a time?
It just says at 4:33 a.m.
And does it say a day?
It just says yesterday.
It just says yesterday. But we know from your email you sent this to Detective Conti on April 3rd, right?
Yes.
So that would have been April 2nd, 4:33 a.m. That's where Find My app was telling you Sade's phone. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
This is the second email, right?
Yes.
And you sent a few more screenshots, right?
Yes.
What made you want to send more?
To provide whatever information I had.
Okay. The screenshot we're looking at here, at the bottom, it seems to have that same drive that we started off with, right?
Yes.
It also indicates that she made a 3-mile drive from 4:55 p.m. to 5:04. Now we go back in time, 4:55 to 5:04 p.m. Does this apply to form again here?
Possibly.
Okay. She used her.
Yes.
This just shows her hard braking at 4:58 near North Jackson Street, right?
Yes.
This screenshot that I have up here, is this Find My or is this Life 360?
Life 360.
Do you know Life 360 to be able to give you information about the battery life of someone's phone?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you tell us what we're looking at here, in your own words?
That she did a 29-mile trip from 2:01 to 2:53 a.m. That her battery was low, so what it shows is that low battery drive detection is disabled, so some of the features start to, and then that she was at 3335 North Gideon Place from 1:38 to 2:01, and then from 12:48 to 1:38, she did a 10-mile trip.
All right, and if we go to the next page would show that 10-mile trip began near South 40th Street, correct?
Yes.
At 9:28?
Yes.
And in those trips, according to the screenshot, her phone's on low battery, right?
Yes.
Can you repeat what you said about, or explain what the app does when your phone is on low battery, from what you understand?
So when it's low battery, because I know it's a different subscription that you have to have that I don't have currently, but some features get disabled, most likely as like a battery saving feature.
Okay. And the last screenshot that you sent. Says Tuesday, near 5152 South Sheridan from what time?
3:24 a.m. to 4:35 a.m.
And the bottom part of this, that was just a continuation from the last page, right?
Yes.
Sure.
After that 4:35 a.m. location from Life 360, were there any future notifications for you from where her phone was through either app that you used?
No.
That was the last one?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you, Judge.
Cross-examination?
Thank you. You knew Sade since 4th grade, you said, right?
Yes.
Best friend, right?
Yes.
And when you spoke with the police, it was your goal, obviously, to try to be helpful to the police, right?
Yes.
Because it's important to try to for you, it was important to try to give information so the police could hopefully solve the crime, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you hadn't actually seen Sade since January. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, but you would text with her and communicate by phone, right?
Yes.
When you say text, when you would text, are we talking just you pick up the phone and you send a text message, or are there other ways in which texting means other things?
We just texted a phone message, or might have sent a message through Instagram.
Okay, that was my question. The word text can mean sending a message. Well, DM, you could DM someone through Instagram, right?
Yes.
And you can communicate through Snapchat?
I didn't really use Snapchat.
Okay, you weren't friends with her on Snapchat?
I just personally don't use Snapchat.
Okay. Were you and Sade back then in April of 2024? Were the two of you linked or connected on Snapchat?
I believe so. I just don't typically use the app, so.
Okay. Facebook is another way to message someone?
I don't use Facebook.
Okay. Now, because you were friends with Sade, you knew that she lived over on Commerce Street in that apartment building, right?
Yes.
And you had been over to her apartment, hadn't you?
Yes.
Now, do you guys talk would you talk every day, or how often would you talk or text with Sade?
Relatively often.
Yeah, daily?
Sometimes daily, sometimes once a week, depends on how busy.
Okay, and this Life 360 app, when Sade elected to use it as a tracking service.
Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting the state earlier, but the state can talk the ears off a donkey. This continued filibustering has got to stop.
Information so that you could keep tabs on her whereabouts. Isn't that the idea?
Yes.
Who else did she provide that access to?
I'm not sure.
Never told you?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So when you look at Life 360, when you open up the app, can you see all the different people with whom she's sharing her location?
No.
All it shows you is where she's going or where the phone is going, right?
Yes.
Very good. So you don't know if it's any other people that she shares that with. All you know is that she shares it with you.
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't know anything about Max Anderson, right?
No.
Had you ever gone to Victor's bar with Sade?
No.
So you'd never seen Max at Victor's?
No.
Didn't know he's a bartender?
No.
Sade never said anything about being scared of someone named Max?
No.
But Sade would talk to you about, because you're friends, Sade would talk to you about various dates she was going on and various men she was seeing, right?
Yes.
That's a common thing to talk about amongst friends, right? I met this guy, I met that guy, right?
Yes.
This guy's creepy, this guy's weird.
Semi. Semi.
Okay. Well, it's a street that has a lot of bars on it, you know that,
Yes.
right? And that was a place that Sade would go periodically, right?
I'm not sure.
And then here, I know the state went through this with you, but again, it shows a 9-mile drive from Water Street right down to 40th Street, right? Very precise. Doesn't it?
Yes.
And it even shows, when you're looking at it in real time, it shows a starting location and a specific endpoint, right?
Yes.
And you didn't hold anything back from the police, right? You gave them every single thing that you had.
Yes.
And then the state was going through the reports with you, but there's a variety of places that Sade's Life 360 app showed her going that evening, right? There's numerous trips.
Yes.
We know about the last one where it ends at Warnemont Park, but before Warnemont Park, there's all sorts of Water Street to 40th Street, and then there's North Farwell to Canal Street. You've looked at all of these, right?
Yes.
And in fact, even sometimes, Life 360 even shows the speed that the vehicle was going, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it shows when phone usage is taking place.
Yes.
So it's providing, as far as you know, it's providing data, information that you can look at to see if a person is safe, right?
Yes.
Is that the idea behind it, to make sure someone's safe?
Yes.
And this is very common, isn't it? Very common amongst the youngsters, young people. It's very common to share data, share their location, so others will know where they are, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's not a unique thing to Sade. That's something other friends of yours also do, right?
Yes.
Thank you, that's all.
State?
Briefly, do you recall whether you had a conversation with Sade about meeting someone the weekend before she went missing?
Yes.
What do you remember about that?
I remember she sent me a screenshot related to some person who had her number and was saying some things that made her feel uncomfortable.
Okay. Do you remember her talking to you about a person she had met at the bar?
I can't remember the place, but I remember she met somebody.
Would that have been the weekend prior?
Like with the dates, I can't remember the exact dates. I just remember before this incident, she told me about some person who was...
That she met at a bar?
The bar part, I can't remember.
Okay, nothing else.
Cross?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone need a break at this point? It's 10:40. Okay, we're going to take a bathroom break for like 10 minutes, and then we'll bring you right back. Please leave your notebooks on your chairs.
Well, isn't this a nice surprise?
All right. We almost up out of here. Last time we aired this series, we closed with the mom, and today we open with the mom. So I think it's only right that we close with the sister and let her speak her piece one more time before we get up out of here. And as soon as this ends, I'm going to say my piece to y'all, and then stay tuned for Rock Solid TV. We got a short video. It's not that long. It's only like 15 minutes or so. And it does have a exclusive sneak peek to the new song that I got dropping. And let's get into it. Shout out to No One for the coming through with that track. We're going to make it happen. Let's get it.
Good morning, Ms. Reams. In order to begin, would you please state your first and last name and spell both for the record?
Adriana Reams, ADRIANNAREAMS.
Ms. Reams, what would you like to say?
When Maxwell Anderson murdered my sister, he redefined my definition of misfortune. No amount of financial hardships, disputes, or everyday struggles were even in the same realm as the effect of the loss he created. He made it,
And try to go slow, okay?
He made it to where my grandfather, who had just gotten diagnosed with cancer, lost his will to live his already health-threatening life. He was mentally sick and constantly bedridden. He could not even garden, which is a core part of his life that I have seen him do every year that I have been alive. He made me witness my hypersensitive grandmother on the verge of heart attack several times. Breaking down from the combination of the grief, other people's emotions, and the stress of having to deal with all the tedious responsibilities that he left behind when he ended my sister's life. He stole my father's ability to see the work he put in to raise Sade for 18 years pay off by having more than a year of seeing her be a happy, successful adult who still loved and appreciated him. He stole her father's ability to repair his relationship with her and be as close as they once were. He stole my mother's chance to ever finally become the mother that Sade always deserved. But most importantly, he stole Sade's chance to be an adult, to choose who she would and would not let into her life, to prioritize herself for the first time and do what makes her happy. As a result of his actions, I have had to grow up way faster than a 16-year-old should have to. I had to communicate with law enforcement, take care of my family, physically pick my mother up off of the ground, on top of trying to deal with my own loss, because he left them all too weak and broken to do anything. I had to quit my job because Sade got me that job, and the whole time I was there, I worked with her. I saw the effect she had on people, the way everyone lit up from her presence, the way she made everyone, from customers to coworkers feel special, which meant that I had to watch all of that go away. I had to watch and hear time and time again all of the people, many of whom I've never heard of, who were deeply pained by the loss of Sade because of what she meant to them. Because of the way that she changed people's lives and generated happiness and erased people's bad days with her smile or her laugh or her hugs or her compliments or her taking things off of other people's plates regardless of how full her own was. I could not continue to be surrounded by people who hurt the same way I did because of the huge impact she had on them regardless of the extent of their interactions. I could not be in places where I could easily be walked over because I no longer had her to advocate for me, as she always did when I had not yet found my own voice. I couldn't go back to a job where I could no longer be getting to spend time with her, whether it was through car rides, shifts together, or sleeping over at her apartment because she always wanted to take care of me. He made it to where I couldn't go to school without people giving me looks of pity or no longer knowing how to interact with me because neither them or I knew what to say, for there was nothing you could say for what he did. He made it to where I cannot ride my bike without random but kind strangers stopping me because they feel the need to pray for me and my family despite not knowing us. He made it to where I cannot trust anyone, not just emotionally, but I cannot meet any person without the fear that they're gonna harm or kill me. Because all my sister did was meet someone, and as a result, he ended her life. He stole my ability to feel momentary happiness without feeling guilty for enjoying my life when I know Sade will never get to enjoy hers. He made it to where I cannot let myself stop doing things because I know that if I have time and space to think, I will break down and I will not be able to start again. He made me miss school and sports and a number of other things because I was searching for my sister's body that he unremorsefully hid from us, knowing that it would cause us extra pain. He made me feel extra anger for the fact that he could be so ruthless and relegate my sister, who took years to build up the confidence to feel like something, back to nothing. He makes me feel extra anger because he still shows no regret and sits here looking stupid without an ounce of guilt for what he did. He stole my sanity because I will spend the rest of my life searching for answers that I'll never get about what he did to my sister and why he did it. Because even though he has no life ahead of him, he still refuses to tell us these answers, even though doing so no longer has any ability to hurt him. He stole my resolve when he and his lawyer sat here and tried to paint my sister as some dirty, irresponsible drug addict or dealer, which could not be further from the truth. A couple of months ago, one of Sade's old teachers gave me a letter that she wrote to me for a school assignment when she was 15. She talked about some of her hardships, and she had so many, which is why it is especially hard to know that as soon as her hard work allowed her to escape many of them, her life was stolen. She said that she wants to be my role model and show me that anything is possible, that she wants to guide me through everything and be my support system. She said that even 5 years ago, she wanted to inspire me to be as independent as she was, and that she hopes she inspires me to do what I want to do in life. She said that everything she does is for me, and she will do anything for me. Even in her 19 years, she was still incredible. 5 years to guide me through everything and be my support system. She said that even 5 years ago, she wanted to inspire me to be as independent as she was, and that she hopes she inspires me to do what I want to do in life. She said that everything she does is for me, and she will do anything for me. Even in her 19 years, she was still incredibly hardworking, independent, kind, supportive, selfless, resilient, and special. She continues to inspire me for the fighter that she was, but he took the guide and support system and role model that she was going to be for the rest of my life. He stole my big sister that always protected me and nurtured me and put me first. And he robbed her of her ability to do that and feel accomplished because she knew she was setting me up for a life better than the one she was forced to struggle through. He made it to where I cannot read that letter that I should have always cherished and smiled about without crying, because now it is just a reminder of everything I no longer have. He made it to where I cannot speak about her without breaking down, or think about her without shaking, to where I cannot even grasp or understand my emotions because they are so overwhelming that I have to be numb to them. He made it to where holidays are no longer a celebration, but a mourning. He robbed my future kids of the opportunity to have cousins and an aunt to love and support them. and I will never not be haunted and affected by all that he took from me. But what hurts 10 times more is all that he took from her. Sade deserves to be selfish and irresponsible. She was working from the time she was 14 because she did not have anyone she could comfortably rely on, and she felt the need to be self-sufficient. People only ever took from her. They took advantage of her because they knew how kind and generous of a person she was. As she grew, she began to stand up for herself, but she never stopped showing people grace, never let one or a few bad people ruin her open-mindedness and magnanimousness for everyone she met. As she became more comfortable after saving up hard-earned checks and tips for years, and buying her own car and apartment without any help from anyone, she began to dream bigger. She was able to think about more than just getting by, and develop career aspirations while remaining responsible and paying all her bills months in advance, and still affording to finally enjoy the little free time that she had. Whether it was saving up for big vacations where she could go meet new people and experience new cultures as a social butterfly that she was, or taking a little breather and going out on one of her rare nights off between being a full-time college student on top of working over 60 hours a week between 2 jobs. She had every right to, and no matter what picture anyone paints, she was always responsible when she did. Her independence was finally allowed, and she was finally beginning to be happy. He ended it as soon as it started. He made it so she went through 19 years of hardships and abuse, and then after working hard to escape it, had no life left to be able to enjoy it. No chance to learn from whatever normal minor mistake she made as any 19-year-old does. All she wanted was to be cared for and praised and appreciated, the way she had always done for everyone else, and he instead took her ability to do anything. She was the definition of a fighter, the definition of resilience. She never laid down or backed down, and to know that he took all her power away and stole her ability to fight for herself is the worst thing imaginable. There is nothing that can justify what he did to her, and what he did was much more than just murder or dismember her. He erased her independence, her ability to fight for herself. He tried to erase her existence and her value. Now I no longer have the opportunity to try and give her everything she gave me. I cannot show her how proud of her I am or how much I looked up to her. But much worse than me, she can no longer make herself proud or make herself anything. And the only one who took that from her is the man sitting right there. I beg you to not let this man have any type of parole. You heard his ex-girlfriend describe the psychological abuse and self-harm he tried to impose on her. His behavior is clearly a pattern, and there is no way that after he has demonstrated the extent of what he is willing to do to a person so casually, he should ever walk these streets again. He still refuses to even admit what he did, and the jury and the public did not even have to be there to unanimously know what he did. He is clearly a danger to the public and should never be given another chance to cause anyone such tremendous harm the way he has done to my family. These law enforcement officers and prosecutors worked countless days working to find the truth. You, us, and the jury sat here for 2 weeks hearing all the heinous things he committed. Do not let any of that go to waste. Do not let the loss of Sade go to waste. This man should never walk free again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reams. You spoke well on behalf of your sister.
Big facts, big facts, big facts. She did that. I ain't mad at it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. TSC, Ali, Chan My Black is Golden, No One, Rock Solid TV. Appreciate y'all, family. Shout out to everybody who showed up, showed out. Appreciate y'all. Joni 4, Late Night Bacon with Mookie Mookie, FFS, Cha Diggy, Jazzy T. Who else was here? Tat Tat Tat. Appreciate y'all, family. We're getting up out of here. And stay tuned. We got something coming right up after this outro. But shout out to our stream sponsors. We appreciate y'all.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of
And I do got the redirect working, so it should be good. We should be good on the redirect, too. So appreciate y'all, family. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay fresh and stay blessed. Until next time, much love, much love. Peace out. I gotta hurry up and start this outro so it could be in time for the next video. But it's coming. It's gonna redirect you. Stay here. Appreciate y'all. Much love, family. TSC. Allie, what up, Allie? I ain't leave you out. What up, Allie? Appreciate you. Miss DB, appreciate you. Miss D56, appreciate you. Supernatural disaster, metaphysical reaction. I am the flesh, I am the God. No one got the lab on lockdown. Talking hot winters and cold summers. Black Force Ones when we slide in the streets. We all stay home at a club jumping. What up, cousin? I see you, fam. Throwing slime corners when I watch the trial. LEOs be capping, chatting action. Come and tap in the most interactive. Peace, love, and joy, Joni 4. Appreciate you. I am the God. I am the flesh. I am the God. Tap in, being on flesh, skin, every rap in. If you like us, gon' get the lights up. So you can share, tell them pack in. Pulling left, right, front to the passenger side. It's right here, the premiere. How you know? Cause them boys broadcast to the live. Wanna talk about it, hit the link right here. Slide coins up, got 100 bands. Shout out to No One, Rock Solid TV. Stay tuned. Coming up next. I'ma keep going till motherfucking time. You what? I'm motherfucking tired. Good night, Miss DB. What you mean? Just watch the rise. Watch the rise. I am the flesh. I am the God. I am the flesh. I am the God. Flesh and the God.